Hola, yuppie, every honey. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's doing well. We are well on time. Okay. Let me just get the audio off. I think the microphone is sounding well. Oh? Let me just see that the settings are the same, because sometimes it happens that OBS switches my microphone to the webcam and that kind of sucks. Yeti Classic. Good. We are good to go. Now, turn on the desktop audio. Okay, so welcome everyone to another reading of Umineko. Oops, sorry, forgot to mute my own stream. Again, welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another reading of Umineko. And it's been a while, mostly because I got sick after going to a convention. And yeah, well, I've been juggling with other stuff in the meantime, so that I cancelled multiple streams on Thursday. Because I'm producing a lot of merchandise at this moment, so I'm very busy with work. And when I mean work, I mean work as a freelancer. But you know what? I prefer being busy this way than busy with a menial job. Anyway, now we are here, we are back, and we are about to jump straight into bean spilling, because from what I remember last time, when I started episode 7, Mr. Willard walked up to Kinzo and he was like, yo, I got you. I know what this is about. So you had an affair. And he was like, yeah. And now Kinzo is like, all right, shake my hand and I'll show you my past. And it looked like it's going to get very interesting. We're entering flashback territory, so we'll finally find out what is this mysterious affair that Kinzo has had, and who was his mistress. Who is Beatrice fuck, sorry, I can't pronounce her name. But let's go. Without further ado, let's go. Do let me know, everyone, if the game's audio or my own audio is either too low or too high, and I'll fix it. You're literally just Batter with white hair. I can't do this. Oh, theater-going power. So I'm going to assume theater going is basically becoming a reader or a watcher, and I actually really like this concept. Going to theater going is really an interesting way to see to call the role of like an observer. Okay. At one time, Genji told Batter that he looked like Kinzo in his youth. Yeah, I can see that. Sure enough, though, the young Kinzo wasn't exactly the same as Batter. They looked very similar. It literally just looks like Batter with white hair. Same voice actor? Is it the same voice actor? Even the voice seemed to resemble Battler somehow. Clearly, Batter inherited Kinzo's blood more thickly than any other. Mm-hmm. I see. He was chosen.
新しい当主を選び出すことさえできなかったのだ。
My first impression is that he also quite acts a lot like Battler.
沈みゆく船で新しき船長は誰かと議論するような愚かさよ。
だからこそ本家の誰ともしがらみのないお前が突然に抜擢を受けた。
すべてはこの足の指のせいだ。足
Right.
の指が一本ずつ足りなかったなら我が人生は全く異なるものになっていたであろう。
Right, that was a thing. In the Ushiramiya family, polydactylity was seen as a mark of good fortune. After all, many of the great ones in their family history had possessed it.
くだらぬ話よ。長老どもは自分たちの誰も得をしない馬の骨であれば誰でもよかった。
たまたま分家筋に両足の指が6本ある者がいると耳に入り、それでいいと決まったわけか。
That's a pretty interesting way to decide the fate of your family.
そういうことだ。
He's like, how many toes you got? 5? Fuck, you're not a candidate. How about you? 6. You're the next heir. What?
長老ども、自分たちの操り人形になるならどこの青二歳でもよかったのだ。
Yeah, okay, that also makes sense.
むしろ帝王学に無知な人間ほど好ましい。
The less you know about the main family and the less connections you have with them, the easier it is to, like, you know, groom, manipulate, gaslight. Ouch.
リオン、お前は違う。お前は我が全てを受け継ぐ者だ。お前が生を受けた日よりそれは運命づけられていた。だからこそお前に銀の指輪を与え厳しく育ててきた。
Oh, Kinzo raised
そ
him.
なたは私とは違う。誰
Interesting.
にも恥じることのない立派な当主跡継ぎであるぞ。
はい。
操り人形の当主か。気楽なものじゃねえだろうな。
As he pondered about where to begin, Kinzo laughed bitterly. It would probably bring back painful memories no matter where he started from.
あれはあまりに長い。それは私には岩に蒸す苔のような。
Rolling dance! Hello, punishment, how you doing? Good evening. Welcome to a night of reading, Umineko. I became the rope in the tug of war between the elders who thought of nothing but their own profit, and I probably could have snapped at any moment. However, people are far more resilient than one would think. Though I spent so many days as though I had been killed, I was not killed. So I was forced to search for death on my own. Oh, they even made the background gray. Oh man. Is it going to be like when he meets Beatrice, like his mistress, is the world going to regain color? If that happens, I'm going to lose my shit. Before I realized it, I had reached an age in which the young would laugh at me if I tried to call myself young. He's like 30. That dizzyingly long stretch of gray was left completely empty. It lasted for a full 20 years. So is it like 30, 40 at this time? In 20 years, a person can be born, find a purpose, and even become their own man with their own place in the world. In short, if one truly becomes a human, only when they have become a working adult. Then I spent a period of time long enough to create a human, doing nothing but playing the part of those greedy elders' puppet. That's sad. Ironically though, that time aged my body, it did not age my mind. My mind alone was still as young as it had been during those rich, happy days before I was summoned to Odawara. And yet my body alone grew older and older. Eventually the vast gap between the two reached almost incomprehensible levels, so I could hardly believe that the worn-out man in the mirror was really me. No, it really wasn't me. The head of the Ushiramiya family was just a name. It had no power. It didn't require that I have any independence. There was no need for me to get involved with anything. I was just a doll sitting there on the doll rack gathering dust. I remember nothing but lazily flipping through Western books I liked, locking myself up inside my own world, doing nothing but playing with roses and drinking terrible drinks. And it lasted a full 20 years. Before I knew it, I suddenly had a wife I did not know. It wasn't any wife I had chosen. It was the daughter of some noble family that the elders had chosen and forced on me for their own reasons, but that did not matter to me. I did not love my wife, but neither did I dislike her. I just didn't care. I fathered a few children, but that wasn't out of love for my wife. They were just born because I knew it. That's all there was to it. None of it mattered. No, that's not quite right. Everything was decided by someone other than me, and I simply obeyed. That was the job of the Ushiramiya family head.
ああ、このまま自分は静かに殺されるなとうっすらと感じていた。
信じられません。
Sounds like it was rough.
強胆なる名君と称えられたおじい様がそのような日々を送っていたなんて。
リオンよ、自ら生きぬ人生ほど希薄で長いものはない。なのにそれはあっという間に過ぎ去るのだ。心せよ。
自ら生きる人生。
生きるってことは意志を持つということだ。殺された日々だったろうよ。
This track is so nice, by the way. I really love piano tracks like this.
そうだ。
It's very calming.
私は生きたかった。いや、死にたかった。操り人形はどうすれば死ねる。
That's an interesting idea.
断ち切ることです。
そうだ。それが死ぬことであり、生きることであり。
な？
解放だ。
Man, the Ushirobia family is just a cycle of terrible abuses, isn't it? Before I realized it, trouble was brewing in the world. World War II. The Pacific War. Japan had extended their war fronts too far to the east and west, and the tide of war was changing. Thanks to the influence of the elders, I was able to avoid conscription. Of course, this was not of compassion for me. It was because I was their precious puppet. So the war never really felt that close to me. However, when I personally decided to abandon their protection, it was very easy. At that time, the Ushiramiya family had almost completely collapsed, and since the elders had apparently gathered enough of the scraps to last them the rest of their lives, they seemed to care little for what I did, now that they had no longer had any use for me. So I realized that I had finally found my time to die. One by one, I cut the threads I was hanging from, and began to search for a place to end my life. Is this when he finds Rokkenjima?
戦地で死を求めようとしたのか。
Oh, never mind.
同じ死ぬなら誰かの役に立つべきと思った。いや、違うな。私には自らの命を絶つ気力さえなかったのだろう。もっともらしく死ねる理由が戦争だったんだ。
おじい様は土木建築の知識がありましたので、海軍設営隊にて施設造成などに従事されたと聞いています。
とんだ誤算よ。何の取り柄もないと言っておけば、すぐにも死ねる最前線へ送られたものを。
最前線に行かずに済んだの。
幸いと喜ぶ仲間もいたよ。私には逆だった。戦って死ぬという出来すぎた美酒の焼け酒が欲しかっただけなのだ。忘れられた島の上空を米軍の編隊は横切っていくだけ。彼らは私のために爆弾一つどころか鉛玉の一つさえ恵んではくれなかったのだよ。
Oh man.
おじい様はその日々の中でベアトリーチェにお会いになられたのですか？
そうだ。あれは海からやってきた。
Oh?
どこであった？島と言ったが。
Rokkenjima, huh?
この島にやってきたのだ。
お前たちは六軒島で出会っていたというのか。
Ah.
どういうことですか？ おじい様がロケン島を買い取るまでは無人島だったと聞いています。
Oh, maybe that's why he bought it.
この島に日本軍の基地があったなどとは初耳です。
Ah. He even has a fang-like battler. Jesus, look at
そう
that.
だな。あんなものは基地とは呼ばぬ、ただの岩窟よ。
Ah, a cave,
私
alright.
はその岩窟の番人だったのだ。
1944. When, give me a minute, when does the Umineko take place again? It's in the 80s, right? So that's 40 years before. I'm trying to think which of Kinzo's children might have been born at the time. Well, Kraus, Eva, and Rudolph probably were already born, but Rosa, I'm like, either she hasn't been quite born yet, or she is going to be born soon. Due to the honorable defeats at Saipan and Guam, Japan's absolute national defense zone strategy was in shambles. Where had the gallantry shown at Pearl Harbor gone? The old attackers were now the ones on the defensive. At that time, it was said that the last trump card for the Japanese military was a type of manned torpedo known as the Kaiten. It was said that these ultimate weapons, packed with 1.55 tons of explosive, were capable of sinking any kind of warship with a single blast. Sheesh! The Yamato? Hello, how's Umineko going? It's going quite spicy. We're seeing Kinzo spilling beans about his past. And now we're going to go into how he's met Beato. Sorry, not Beato, our Beato, but like his Beato. His Beatrice. To strengthen homeland defense, the Navy drafted a plan to build a string of hidden bases from Hachijo Island to Yokosuka, all to house submarines loaded with Kaiten torpedoes.
八丈島に基地が作られたことは知っていました。しかしそれがロケン島にもあったなんて。
どこの間抜けがこんな何もない島に作ろうと言い出したやら。
Kinzo after last stream. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
一口上の都合。
It's like omega yikes.
バカバカしい。お上の考えることなどわからぬし、私にとってもどうでもいいことだった。
The Kaiten, which could finish off a large warship with a single strike, truly was an ultimate weapon. It was hoped that the presence of submarines capable of loading these weapons in the waters just off of Japan would allow for a powerful sea ambush as a final line of defense. Ah, understandable. So, to aid in the establishment of a base with absolute secrecy, the inhabited island Rokejima was raised as a possible candidate. An investigation of the island resulted in the discovery of a large cave in the cliffs, and this was apparently deemed to be a suitable location for a submarine base.
お前はその基地の建設に関わったわけか。
Huh.
建設岩窟を掘り広げただけを建設と呼ぶならな。しかもその上、基地は未完成のまま放置されたのだから。
Huh. どうしてです？
当時の日本にそいつを詰めるほどの大型潜水艦はもう残っていなかったのよ。
Well, that's an issue.
滑稽な話だ。潜水艦もないのに潜水艦基地など今さら必要なものか。役人の無意味な箱物作りは今も昔も変わらぬわ。
The base on Hachijo Island was outfitted with Kaiten torpedoes and became a base for direct attacks, but Rokkenjima was never supplied with any. Furthermore, the construction was eventually suspended, and a minimum number of men were stationed on the island, waiting for orders from above that never came. Could the fact that it was a hidden base actually have sealed our fate? The higher-ups had already completely forgotten about this useless and pointless cavern. We were nothing more than guards for a mere cave. Man, don't you love it when you're just hired to guard a cave of all things, just an empty cave, like, great. Another day of nothing. We spent our days farming, fishing, and playing with the dirt. All the while gazing up at the American formations flying past. Some of our group were relieved at the prospects of the war ending before anyone remembered we were here. And before any of us had to face a real battle. Meanwhile, Kinzo's like, come on! Someone drop one on me. Of course, it was the opposite for me. Kinzo's probably like wanting to get a megaphone and to be like, hey! We're over here! Hey, if I got paid for a boring job, at least it isn't hard. You got a point. Actually, you got a point. Of course, it was the opposite for me. I hoped and hoped for the American troops to advance and kill me as soon as possible. Yeah, he wants a megaphone. Those days were empty and blank. Let us go back. He's about to like create Art Attack, you know, like the show Art Attack, and be like build a message on the floor saying like, hey, there are Japanese soldiers here. We are trying to ambush you. Attack us, please. Let us go back to the turning point of my life and my fate. The time that Ushiromiya Kinzo finally became truly alive. The time he met a woman. Oh. What do you mean? Stars seemed to spin around inside my head. I could just lie down on the floor, but that only made him more angry. I've got no intention of being obedient. Still, it'd be stupid to get myself punched for no reason, so I got up and stood at attention. The fighting's close, is it? You really think the American troops are likely to show up on this forgotten island? Then let them come right now. That's what I've been waiting for all this time. He's more like, no. Actually, I want them to come right now. I'm so tired. Sir, I'm not following orders. Can you just pull the blicky on me? He's like, well, I don't want to kill any of them. I got hit again. Could you please quit your whining already? Filthy cowards. They let themselves be controlled by this inexplicable anger because it's the only way to distract themselves from their own fear. Heart and spirit aren't of any use when the battle become hopeless. When trapped by an insurmountable hopelessness, humans tend to rely on several other emotions to escape their fear. For those young, inexperienced soldiers, anger was a very convenient emotion to fall back upon. Anger is the wine they used to paralyze their fear. It made them chant, "Damn the British, damn the Americans," as they swung their bamboo spears around and called it thrilling. The more wine you drink, the more you need to drink to get drunk. Their useless anger continued to pile up day after day without pause. I did not fear death, so I had no need for the wine called anger. This made their cowardice all the more apparent to me. However, it went both ways. Just as I was able to spot their cowardice, they were able to pick on my lethargy. He really just doesn't care, man. He's like, I'm so tired. Oh my god. He's like, and? I don't care. First Lieutenant Yamamoto was the commanding officer in charge of the Rokkenjima garrison. Wait a minute, we know this background. He was just another filthy coward trying to forget his fear with violence, and would often reprimand his subordinates for slacking off at the drop of a hat. Don't you love it? Whenever he was in a good mood and started spouting off stories of his life, they were all about how much of a thug he had been, ignoring the rules of society. On and on about how so-and-so was a prick, so he taught him a lesson, and how everyone was so scared of him that he got special treatment. Shish! He kept on talking about what a vile human he was, as though it was a badge of honor. Normally, I had nothing to do with this lieutenant who I couldn't respect in any way. He'd always hang around with his non-commissioned subordinates, so as long as I treated him with a snappy salute, I could more or less ignore him for the time being. Now that the construction project on this island has been suspended indefinitely, there's no longer any use for an engineer like me. So, why did the lieutenant ask to see me specifically? At that moment, I couldn't think of anything.
後ろ宮、貴様は外国語が堪能であると聞いたが事実で。
英語と中国語を話せるであります。英語と中国語を話せるであります。注意殿。
Whoops, the audio clips got a little bit mixed. The lieutenant liked to brag about his education in front of the non-commissioned officers, but he held a bit of a grudge against me for being even more highly educated than him. Since he also felt uncomfortable having a subordinate who was older than him, I wasn't exactly the type he'd be willing to confide in. Just the fact that I knew several languages must have hurt his pride. Sucks to suck, doesn't it?
ならばイタリア語はどうか。
わかりません。
I don't fucking speak
では
Italian.
貴様にイタリア人との通訳は務まらんというわけか。
Oh, is that Beatrice?
英語を喋れる者がいれば可能と思います。
なるほど、確かに。貴様外国人と英語で話した経験はあるのか。
あります。
Why on earth would we need an interpreter in a cave on an uninhabited island that even our superiors forgot about? His question made it clear that some guest had arrived on Rokkenjima who would need an interpreter.
よし、後ろ宮。貴様を俺の通訳に命ずる。
Is it time? Is it time to meet the woman? That evening, I found out exactly what he was talking about. Ah, so this is the entrance to the cave, huh? That pointless submarine dock in the cavern that had never been used was now being approached slowly by a submarine of the Italian Navy. Of course I knew that the Italians were our allies. However, this was the first time I'd seen anything from their military with my own eyes. Interesting song, I don't think I've heard this one before.
どうしてイタリア軍が確か1943年にイタリアは降伏しているはずです。これはどういうことでしょう。
降伏したのはイタリア王国だ。だがそれを受け入れない者たちは親独政権 RSI を樹立させ
Ah, interesting.
RSI
イタリア社会共和国。
Ah! Peeking in since I saw Umineko here. Have fun and keep the t-shirts on standby. Yes, thank you, Soaring Aways. Thank you very much. Oh, Fred Energy, thank you for the subscription. Very much appreciated.
サロ共和国。
Man, Rokkenjima's just... Sorry, not Rokkenjima. Ryukichi's just dropping, like, the World War II knowledge.
詳しいな。何も知らぬ者はイタリアは枢軸国の中で1943年にいち早く降伏した腰抜けなどと呼んでいる。
Oh, the vocals are going off in the background.
それは間違いだ。
I love Umineko and this is my favorite chapter. Thank you for reading it. Thank you, Fred Energy. Thank you so much. I do hear for a lot of people episode 7 is their favorite chapter. I've been kind of anticipating reading this chapter because I have known Rion before because of a high school friend like over 15 years ago. It's been like super long. But otherwise I knew nothing about this chapter or like anything else about Umineko
イタリア社会共和
other
国
than Beato exists.
開戦から1945年4月29日まで勇敢に戦ったのだ。
But yeah, I've been having a blast reading Umineko for the past 2 years. I'm probably gonna be done with reading it sometime next year because I don't think I'll finish episode 7 before the year ends, or maybe I'll manage. But episode 8 I'll definitely only start next year.
ベルリン降伏はその3日後だ。腰抜けどころか大健闘。しかし RSI 海軍が日本まで航行できるような潜水艦を持っていたとは驚きだ。
Well, apparently they did.
そうでなくともはるばる日本までやってきたこと自体が驚きです。彼らはなぜ日本に六軒島に
The submarine was both weather-worn and massive. I doubt anyone had even imagined that a foreign submarine would come all the way out here, when we never even had one of our own submarines dock. All of the guards on Rokujima, on which there were only about 30, stood at attention as the submarine docked.
イタリア軍なんて初めて見たぜ。なんでも事故かショクライで航行不能になったんだと。
Huh.
換気装置がやられて塩素ガスが換気できなくなったって聞いたぞ。
Oh, that's
ジョイ
rough.
殿の話によると何か重要なものを運んでるって話だ。暗号変換器か新型エンジンなんかの設計図じゃないのか。俺は積みに云々より上層部がまだここを覚えててくれたことの方が驚きだぜ。
Oh, do you think it's the gold? Do you think it's the gold that Kinzo has
早く来い。
in the future?
貴様は通訳だろうが。
はい、注意殿。
Although, would that make sense? On top of the hatch was a young Italian saluting us. Normally this should have been the job of a commissioned officer, but his clothes looked like those of a sailor. And it really didn't look like he had the dignity and the composure of a ship's captain. I see, the Italians caused Umineko. Oh my god, if they really did bring the gold, then you're right. You're so right. Oh my god, I can't believe it. The Italians made Umineko happen. It probably meant that all the commissioned officers in charge had died in the accident that had befallen this sub. Crew members crawled out of the hatch one by one, but they all looked pale and entirely worn out. I'm not sure how long ago the accident happened, but being crammed together in a tiny sub filled with chlorine gas was for any amount of time can be good for your health. Not only had the ventilators broken, but traveling about carelessly on the surface of the waters around Japan these days would be foolish in the extreme. It had been like a trip inside a can of poison gas. Almost all of them were unable to walk without leaning on someone else. It looked like a bunch of people staggering out of a hospital boat.
艦長は誰か聞け。私がこの島の指揮官であることを説明せよ。
ようこそ日本へ。英語がわかる者は。
Alright, they are speaking in English, let's go. The crew members seemed to understand that I was speaking English, but it looked as though none of them could speak it. Eventually, someone who seemed to be dressed as an officer saluted.
ようこそ日本へ。艦長でありますか。
I can not speak English.
Fuck!
Please, wait.
The officer answered in a slow, laborious English. After asking us to wait, he shouted something to his subordinates in rapid Italian. It looked as though he was telling them to get someone among them who could speak English.
後ろ宮、何と言っている。
待てと言っています。英語のわかる人間を呼んでいるのかもしれません。
At that moment, I heard a high-pitched cough. It wasn't a man's cough. It was a woman's. Is it time? Drum roll. There she is!
私英語わかるわ。
As she came down from the hatch, a woman with beautiful golden hair said this in English. Oh my god, is this going to be like a love at first sight situation for him? In this filthy cavern, the appearance of one as beautiful as she was seemed like an angel descending upon us. Yep, I think it's love at first sight for
ようこ
Kinzo.
そ日本へ。艦長はいますか。
艦長は死んだわ。士官はあそこの彼だけよ。
お悔やみ申し上げます。何かお手伝いはできますか。
新鮮な空気と水が欲しいわ。まだ息のある人間もいる。休ませる場所が欲しいわ。
協力しましょう。他に英語のわかる人間はいますか。
いたけどみんな死んだわ。
Oh my god, that's ow.
私だけよ。
Oh.
後ろ宮、女は何を言っている。艦長は誰だ。さっきの男なのか。その女は何者なのか。早く通訳しろ。
Jesus, let the woman talk. The lieutenant has been yelling like that for a while now. He must have been surprised to see such a beautiful woman appear from a submarine, and more than a little annoyed to see all of her attention focused on me alone. It was a mark of how divinely beautiful she was. Yep, he's love struck immediately.
彼女だけが英語をわかるようです。彼女が
He's like in
彼
awe.
らの通訳になります。艦長は死亡。
You know the flushed emote? This is what I imagine how he looks at her when he first sees like, ma'am?
代表者は先ほどの士官のようです。
あのうるさくあなたに叫んでいる男は何者？まさかあなたの上司なの？
Ooh, she got sass. I
不幸
love
な
it.
ことに私が 美しいお嬢さんを独り占めしているのが気に入らないんでしょう。
Oh my god.
あら、東洋人にお世辞をもらえるとは思わなかったわ。綺麗な英語ね。あなたは育ちが良さそうだわ。あの怒鳴ってるみっともない男とは大違い。あなたがここの将校だったらよかったのに。
Oh my god. She has so much sass and I love it already.
おや、私も西洋人にお世辞をもらえるとは思いませんでした。
あなたは面白い人だわ。名前は？
後宮金蔵です。よろしければお嬢さんの名前もぜひ。
ベアトリーチェ・カスティリオーニ。
Castiglione, yes, that's what it was.
ようこそベアトリーチェ日本へ。
That was when I first met Beatrice, the woman who would capture my heart for the rest of my life. Yeah, I see it. I saw it. Like, the moment I saw the CG, I was like, yep, this man is on his knees. He is love struck.
ベアトリーチェとはイタリア人だったのですか？
そうだ。
Is this why... No, wait. He did like reading Western books before already, but...
彼女は RSI 交換の娘だった。
Okay.
どうやら彼女の父親こそが一番の罪人だったらしい。
I see.
残念ながらロッケン島にたどり着いた時にはもう死んでいた。
その交換がなぜ日本に、スエズ運河からインド洋を越えてはるばる日本まで来たというのか。
確かに同盟国としてはドイツの方がはるかに近いはず。
Yeah, but Germany, I think... wait, so... This was after Germany lost, right?
なぜわざわざ日本までやってきたのでしょう。
Oh man, it's been a while since I've been to history class in Germany, so what I learned in history class is pretty much washed out in my brain. But according to my grandma, who lived during that time, she said that at least the Bavarian region of Germany was overrun with Americans and some Italians. But mostly Americans, I suppose.
その全容はわからぬ。
But I'd need to check, like, fact check.
その潜水艦がただならぬ任務を帯びていたらしいことは後に理解することとなる。
Well, yeah, pretty much. This seems to be happening like close to the end of World War II, from what I understood. They said that there have been about 60 of them at the time of their departure. However, only about 10 of them, including Beatrice, had survived. Their submarine had apparently hit a mine or something in the nearby waters and sustained a great deal of damage. They told us that it had flooded rapidly with water, which had taken out the batteries and released a large amount of chlorine gas. Their sub had become completely incapable of continuing further, nothing but a massive lump of metal floating by the dock. Since the sub seemed to be carrying something of immense value, the higher-ups ordered us to investigate. After questioning the Italians, with Beatrice and me acting as double interpreters, we concluded that this thing of immense value must have been her father himself. Apparently, Beatrice's father was extremely high up in the RSI hierarchy, and it was the thought that he might have been worked alongside Mussolini himself. Though their massive voyage had apparently been a part of some top-secret mission, now that the man himself of all the commission's officers had died, their reason for coming to Japan remained a mystery. And our high-ups were telling us to investigate, which meant that even they didn't know what it was. Their ship had broken down, their mission was unknown, and the high official they had been carrying was dead. And even the Japanese government didn't know why they were here. The Italians' great and perilous voyage had come to a meaningless and utterly fruitless end. Well, that's unfortunate.
よかった。日本の潮風はてっきり醤油の匂いがすると思ってたわ。
Wait, isn't this something that Isn't this a line that I've heard before?
お互い様です
I definitely heard a line like this in Pluto, which, by the way, Pluto is an amazing anime or a manga. You should read and watch it. Chef's kiss. But I will talk about it some other time.
イタリア人の髪はパスタでできてるって思ってました
あらそうよアルデンテに仕上げるには腕加減が難しいの
Bruh, she's
日
humoring
本
him.
人はみんなスパゲティ迷路だわ
Oh my god, help.
よくご存知で日本人はシャンプーの代わりにイカスミを使います
Oh my god, look at them.
金蔵はすごいわ何でも知っているのねイタリアに来たことがあるの
ありませんしかし本はいろいろと読みました
東洋人がイタリアの本をへえ例えばどんな
ニッコロ・マキャベッリ、ダンテ・アリギエーリンだからあなたが永遠の淑女であることも存じていますよ
Oh my god, look at them flirting with each other.
おおなんてこと金蔵はとんでもない勉強家だわあなたはひょっとして日本では高貴な家の出身なのでは
さあ
あなたは他の野蛮そうな日本人とはまるで違うわ私にはわかるのあなたはきっと高貴な家の人間だわ後ろ宮家は日本の貴族の家柄なの
Ah, she's quite observant, I
と
see.
んでもない紡績で一山当てただけのただの成金の一族です私が勉強していたのは高貴なるものとしてのたしなみではなく何をすることも許されなかったら本を読むか酒に溺れるかしかやることがなかったからですよ
There had been no trace of malice in Beatrice's words. It had just been a curious question asked to a friend from a faraway country. However, Beatrice was from a noble family herself, so she could tell. She could see the faint, gloomy look on Kinzo's face.
許して金蔵あなたのような高貴な人がどうしてこんなおかしなところで兵卒の身分に甘んじているのか深く考えなかったわ
私の一族などどうでもいいことです死ねば後ろ宮などという姓は何の意味もないそしてそれこそがようやく私を解き放ってくれるのです
That's so interesting to see how Kinzo is like in the future. How he's so hell-bent on the Ushiromiya name.
金蔵は死にたくて軍隊にそんなのダメ家族が悲しむわ
家族など私には誰も
I have a wife for the sake of public appearances and children. However, I've never wanted any of them. Youch! Everything is a fleeting daydream created by those selfish, greedy elders. So at least while I'm on this island, I can forget about all of that and find some peace. Peace? But haven't I spent each and every day complaining that I wasn't sent to the front and haven't managed to die yet?
私にあなたの苦しみはわからないけれど私の心ない言葉が傷つけてしまったことはわかるわ許して金蔵
Poor Miss Ushiromiya. Yeah, that's gotta suck. And poor kids, right? Like, it's this whole family toxicity started so early. Man, I mean, like, I get it. He didn't want to get married, but geez. Forgive me, Kinzo. Yes, those words are probably what did it. All of the Japanese called me Ushiromiya. It reminded me that I was property of the Ushiromiya family every time they talked to me. But she was different. She called me Kinzo, not Ushiromiya. So maybe just for the time I chat with her like this, I can't forget that cursed family.
Kinzo.
Yeah, he has a really deep-seated disgust for his family, huh? Like, it's been there for a lot of time. I hadn't meant to make Beatrice feel guilty, but she seemed certain that her thoughtless words had hurt me.
ありがとう。あなたが私を金蔵と呼んでくれるから、私はやっと
Everyone hates the family, man. It's gotta suck being Urushiromiya.
私はようやく 本当の意味で私を見てくれる人に出会えた気がします。
金蔵、あなたはとても遠い異国で出会った外国人だけれど、あなたの心はとても繊細で美しい。私たちはきっと近所に住んでいたならとても当たり前な友人になっていたわ。私も嬉しいのよ。あなたは私のことをベアトリーチェと呼ぶ。カスティリオーニのご令嬢とは呼ばないわ。
I see. They're where they relate to each other. We're both in the same position. The Castiglione family must have been a rigid place as well. Though we came from different countries, we had finally found something that we both understood.
金蔵は親しい者には何て名前で？
いえ、普通に金蔵と呼ばれていました。
Is she going to come up with something?
じゃあ、あなたは私をベアトリーチェと呼ぶのを改めるべきだわ。
Is this where Beato comes from?
親しい人間は私のことをビーチェと呼んでいた。
Ah, Bice. Wait a minute.
あなたもそうしてくれると嬉しいわ。
This sounds dangerously close to bitch.
わかりました。これからは親しみを込めてビーチェとお呼びを。
No! This sounds too close to bitch. No, not like this.
ダメ。堅苦しい言葉はダメ。だって私たちはもう友人なのだから。
Very soon you'll be more than just friends. Oh, ho, ho, ho. A bright smile stretched across Beatrice's face.
あの美少が我が記憶より薄れることはない。
おじい様はベアトリーチェと出会うことで自分を取り戻されたのですね。
平たくいや浮気だな。
Oh my god, I love how Willard is like Rihanna's like, oh, how beautiful, you found someone who you relate to, who healed you, cured your depression, healed your, grow your crops, cleared your acne, and Willard is like, cool story, still cheating.
ウィルさんは今後も出現を繰り返されるならお尻をかばわれる癖をつけることをお勧めします。
Get ass protection, I guess, like steel plates. After having his butt pinched once more, Will hopped around in pathetic agony.
おじい様にとってロッケン島はベアトリーチェと初めて出会われた特別な場所だったのですね。
私がこの島に来ることがなければ出会うこともなかった奇跡の島なのだ。
This is probably why he bought it
そ
later.
の潜水艦基地の名残とやらは今も残っているのか。
The gold.
クワドリアンの近くに今も残っている。外界からは見えぬ入り江の影だ。吹き継がって漁師たちも近寄らなかった島だ。私以外に知る者はもはやいるまい。
The
クワドリ
submarine?
アンと屋敷を結ぶ2キロにも及ぶ地下道はその基地の名残なのか。
そうだ。鍾乳洞を改造した広大な地下壕で地下を網羅し、島内各地を要塞化する。私はその地下道を生かし、島の両端に2つの屋敷を作らせたのだ。
So that's why the underground passages that we've seen in the question arcs.
2つの屋敷、2つの家族、後ろ宮家の屋敷と後ろ宮家から解放された金蔵の屋敷だったのですね。
そうだ。私には必要だったのだ。後ろ宮という呪われた生から逃れるもう一つの場所が。
So
しかし同情するよ。
I do have something that I'm musing about right now. So maybe I'll get the answers later. But I wonder if Kinzo being so strung up in having someone take up the name of Ushiromiya properly and to properly succeed him, I wonder if it's like a scapegoat situation in which he wants to be like, take my title away from me, I don't want it anymore. And but they need to be competent enough to take it from him. I don't know, maybe something like that. Or he became obsessed with his title. Let's see.
はるばる日本までやってきて任務を成し遂げられなかったとは気の毒の。
パパの任務が何だったか、どこか遠くへ逃げ、大切な日までそれを隠さなければならないと言っていた。
It? The gold? Wink wink?
それとは
わからないわ。
It's the gold.
それはとても大切なもので、大切な日まで何年も隠しているつもりだったみたい。いえ、それと一緒に隠れているつもりだったみたい。私に異国の地で長い時間を過ごすことになるかもしれないと謝っていたから。
アンジェロ少尉は罪には特になく、君の父上が輸送すべき要人だったと言っていたが。
少尉はあなたたちを信用してないわ。私でさえ知っていることをいくつも隠してる。
Spill the beans, I wanna know.
すると少尉はパパの目的と積み荷を知っているのかも。
それが何だったにせよ、それはイタリア軍の任務さ。俺らには関係ないね。むしろ同盟国なんだ。頼ってくれればいいのに。
金蔵が良い人であることは疑わないわ。少尉にもあなたは信頼できる人間だと伝えてるんだけれど、どうして男というのは異教ではむやみやたらと厳格になるの？普段はみんなもっと陽気な人たちばかりなのに、ここへ来てからみんな妙に空気が張り詰めているわ。
Yeah, something... Yeah, that's probably not a good sign.
少尉は部下たち全員に常時銃を手放さないように命じてる。
Oh, I don't like
で
this.
ここが敵地下のようだわ。
I do not like this. That was true. The Italians were clearly the very opposite of relaxed. The Japanese soldiers watching this began to suspect that the Italians didn't really trust them at all. Probably.
軍人ならおかしいことじゃないさ。むしろこういう時こそ規律を引き締めて友軍に恥ずかしいところを見せたくないんじゃないか。
就寝時には必ず根津板を立てるし、もう航行できないスクラップ同然の潜水艦に今もあなたたちを近づけないように見張りを立てているわ。
Something is in that
私
submarine.
はなんだか日本人を露骨に毛嫌いしているように見えて気持ちが悪い。
True, they had set up a constant sentry by the submarine and had refused to let any of the Japanese soldiers come near. This hadn't made the Japanese particularly happy. However, submarines are treated as classified in all countries. Maybe it was just unnatural for them to stop foreigners from approaching it without reason.
慣れない生活を強いられてみんな気が立ってるんだろう。天候と女将の都合で君たちを本土へ運ぶ船の派遣がまた遅れてる。君たちをいつ本土へ送ってあげられるやら。
We had been told that a boat was being sent for them directly from the mainland, but apparently thanks to the weather, problems up the command chain, and the recent air raids, they had no ships they could spare on a forgotten island like this. There may have been political issues as well. After all, the Italians' homeland had already surrendered to the Allies. I didn't know the details. The only thing I knew for sure was that they'd been stuck on Rokkenjima for 2 whole weeks and no one had come to get them. Of course, we had some small boats on Rokkenjima. There was nothing physically stopping us from taking them to a nearby island. Still, Rokkenjima was technically a top-secret base and contact with the outside world had been strictly forbidden. That's rough.
仕方がないし、それも悪くないわ。
Snooze the outbreak. Not yet.
だって船が来てしまったら金蔵とはもう会えなくなってしまうんでしょ。
She wants to stay.
確かに。
She wants to stay. To be... Those 2 weeks were the first I'd ever truly lived. The faint 20 years before before all seemed to vanish in the sparkle of that pair of weeks. I realized that she'd have to leave this place eventually. And yet, the single moment felt so rich and dazzling that I felt myself wishing it could last forever. Then, I heard a voice calling for Beatrice in Italian.
アンジェロ少尉だよ。
Uh-oh.
君に用事みたいだ。
I don't like this.
またお小言かしら。
We woo.
日本人とあまり親しくするなと最近うるさいのよ。
The second lieutenant approached, saluting Kinzo, and after glancing at Beatrice as though asking her to translate something, he began to speak in Italian. Judging by his tone, it sounded like something serious.
少尉はとても重要な話があるからあなたたちの指揮官に合わせてほしいと言ってるわ。協力を求めたいと言っている。何のことかわからないわ。
重要な話。わかった。山本中尉を探そう。
Lieutenant Angelo had two of his subordinates with him and wore a stern expression on his face. They didn't have to say anything, for us to realize that this had to be something very serious. I have a bad feeling about this.
いいぞ上げろ
The winch creaked and the thick chains rang out with a dull clang. Very, very slowly, it was lifted up out of the submarine's cargo hold.
なるほど。イタリア人どもが我々を潜水艦に近づけたがらないわけだ。
Is it the gold? The first lieutenant and the others looked up at what the winch was slowly lifting up, all of them wearing unpleasant forced smiles.
なんてこと。これがパパの運んでいた積み荷だというの。
すごい。こんなの生まれて初めて見た。
It's the gold! I called it! I fucking called it! It was a mountain of gold ingots. Those carefully piled bars were being slowly lifted out of the cargo hold, one group after another. This gold had been their true cargo. I don't know where they were planning to take it. They might have been trying to sneak it into Japan, one of their allies, or they might have been on their way to hide it in some remote area. Was it some sort of strategy? A conspiracy? Embezzlement? Top secret transportation of wealth? This incomprehensible amount of gold led to all sorts of dark suspicions, but we didn't know anything about the truth. All told, the gold weighed an incredible 10 tons. That was the only truth we could wrap our minds around at the moment. They had strongly resisted showing this to us. However, the submarine could no longer make sea, and it was apparently continuing to take in water bit by bit. Rokenjima had been outfitted in an extremely slipshod way, so he had no means of repairing it. Also, though we could unload the sub, there was no way we'd be able to lift it up again once it had filled with water and sunk to the bottom. Now that the transporting the gold away had clearly become an impossible goal, they had apparently decided on unloading it. Of course, they made no effort to explain the reason behind all this gold. They just asked us to help them take it out.
なぜこんな大量の黄金を国外へ？
And why do you get to keep it later?
これだけあればイタリアの戦局を変えられたかもしれないのに。
戦局を変えるのは武器。でも戦後は何の役にも立たない。確かにお金も戦局を変えはするでしょう。でも戦後にもその価値は変わらないわ。
That's true. There's no longer any way to change the course of this war. The Axis powers will probably all surrender, leading to an Allied victory. Anyone can tell that simply looking at the American planes flying across the sky day after day. However, gold does not lose its value after war. Everyone stared upwards, dumbfounded, as the winch slowly lifted the dully sparkling gold. Okay. Now the ad is allowed to run. I'm gonna let the ad run for like a minute while I take a sip of my tea. And also allow me to save for a second. Also, I want to check something else, and that is with the character sheets. While the ads like run, I just want to look at something over here. I want to look at the character bios for Beato and Kinzo. Well, I guess it's not here. I guess it's not here yet. Do we have anything on the tips? SSVD, one of the repentance enforcement agencies in the direct supervision of the Great Court of responsible for the 8th District. It has a long history of among the enforcement agencies and is known for its strict and fundamentalist attitude. Many say they do not keep up with the times, but they are also highly praised by some for continuing to preserve the basis of the law spirit to this very day. It is traditional for the head inquisitor of heresy to inherit the name right. Okay, so it's a thing that Will has taken over. Sorry, not taken over. That's why he has right in his name. Is the ad running? Has it already run its course? If yes, I'll continue reading. Because I didn't snooze the ad this time. Ah, there it is. Dang it. I hate how Twitch is like, oh, ad break starts in like 10 seconds and then the 10 seconds count down and then it's like a full minute before it actually starts running. Okay, so let me leave the ad running for the 42 seconds. And in the meantime, I'm gonna take another sip of my tea. This is pretty interesting backstory, by the way. I was wondering if we'd go over Kinzo's like backstory in more detail, and this flashback is, I'm scared, you know. I'm kind of scared. I wonder what will happen to Beatrice, to Beatrice. What's going to happen? How is the affair going to start to begin with? And how is how is Kinzo going to maintain the gold, right?
イタリア人たちはこの黄金のことを本土へ報告しないことを望んでいます。
Of course they don't.
我が国に横領されたくないからであろうな。
彼は何と？
日本が黄金を横領するのを恐れているから報告されたくないのだろうと言っている。
少尉はむしろイタリア本国に知られることを恐れているわ。
はあ。
私たちにとって今の祖国は連合国の傀儡政権。彼らに知られれば黄金は返還することになる。
I see.
しかしそれは私たちの敵に黄金を渡すようなもの。
They'd come out this way to make sure that the gold didn't fall into the enemy hands. They needed to hide it from that puppet government until their homeland could be truly restored.
後ろ宮。
Huh.
イタリア人たちに提案せよ。我々は協力を申し出たいとな。
協力とは？
イタリア人たちの言い分はこうであろう。しかし、この島から運び出そうとすれば、輸送船を手配せねばならなくなる。
It's never getting carried off this island, I'm telling you.
そうすれば本土に知られ、さらにはイタリア本国にも知られることとなる。
そうなります。
The suggestion is going to be, let's hide it here, right?
つまり、あの黄金はもう六軒島からは運び出せない。
Their mission must have been to hide the gold in absolute secrecy until the day of their homeland's restoration. Later on, several plausible rumors would circulate about how Nazi Germany also moved much of its secret wealth to certain hidden areas in South America just prior to its collapse. It was a very natural conclusion to reach. That submarine was their only method of transporting the gold in secrecy, and it's become completely useless. They can't fully stop the water from seeping in, and it will probably sink completely before much longer. There's no longer any way for them to transport the gold in secrecy. In other words, their mission has ended in failure here in the Far East. Just how is Lieutenant Yamamoto proposing that we assist them? He's going to suggest that we hide it here.
この六軒島基地は誰も知らぬ秘密基地だ。
Called it.
近隣の島民たちはこの島を不吉な無人島と信じて近寄りもしない。言っている意味がわかるか？後ろ見。
They're going to try to steal the gold themselves. Watch.
彼は何と？
前にも話した通り、この六軒島基地は誰にも知られていない。見ての通り、戦略価値は何もなく、上層部にもすでに忘れられてる。注意はこの島に黄金を隠してはどうかと提案したいみたいだ。
Patrice quickly translated this and told Lieutenant Angelo. He began discussing something rapidly with his subordinates. They didn't look happy. Japan may have been their ally, but they probably didn't want to leave the gold for reconstructing their motherland in Asian hands. Still, it was hard to imagine any other option for them.
激しく議論しているわ。他に手はないという者もいるし、それでも祖国に忠誠を尽くすべきだという者もいる。少尉は板挟みになってるわ。
The final order given to them by their fallen homeland was to hide the gold. However, by now, there was no way for that order to be carried out successfully. If the mainland or their own homeland found out, the gold would probably be confiscated by the wrong people, from their point of view. If they really wanted to carry out their homeland's orders faithfully, Lieutenant Yamamoto's proposal was extremely reasonable. Though he couldn't understand their words, he seemed to realize how divided they were. I am making a wild call, but do you think we are getting basically a prelude of Umineko in which like the soldiers all kill each other for the gold and only Kinzo survives? Or maybe only Beatrice and Kinzo? Because we know for a fact that they do have one child. We know.
この島の地下に黄金を隠して埋めれば誰にも発見できないと言って。
Umineko be Uminekoing, indeed. And given how a lot of story narratives with Kinzo and Beatrice like parallel with Beatos and Battlers, I do wonder to what extent history is repeating itself, basically.
現実的な申し出だと議論してるわ。でも日本人の手を借りるのに抵抗を感じてるみたい。
議論が難航しているようです。
議論の余地などあるのか、イタリア人。我々の協力なくばあの黄金は隠せんぞ。まさかいつまでも波打ち際に積み上げておくわけにもいくまい。
Oh yeah, he wants it. He wants that gold.
アンジェロ少尉は黄金のことを知る人間を最小で抑えたいみたい。日本人は信用できないけど、山本中尉の申し出が今は最善と見てるみたいよ。
And then they'll start killing each other for the gold. Just watch. Just watch.
いぶかしがってるわ。
何を
10トンの黄金を隠すという労力の提供と守秘義務を彼らが本当に無償で提供してくれるのかと。
Yeah, they're going to want to, like a part of it.
五分と五分だ。
See, I didn't even have to say it.
注意、それはまさか。
あの黄金の半分を我々によこせ。それを手間賃に残りの半分を厳重に隠してやろう。
半分をよこせと言ってる。
So 5 tons. The instant Beatrice translated that sentence, Lieutenant Angelo slammed his hand on the desk and stood up. I called it. They're gonna start killing each other. Instead of flinching, Lieutenant Yamamoto, true to his boasts of once being a thug who everyone feared, actually looked even more relaxed and confident than he had previously.
本来なら断りようのない話だ。8割を要求してもおかしくない。それを敬意を表して五分と五分にしようと提案しているのだ。
Yeah, totally good faith.
これは我々だけに有意な話ではない。イタリア人たちが外部にこのことを漏らせば、すべての黄金は日本かイタリアに接収される。我々には1円たりとも転がり込んでこない。我々は全員が共犯でなくてはならない。
Bruh.
全員に
Greed.
着服の共犯になれと言ってる。周囲はすでに軍人としてでなく個人として話をしている。
We see that.
黄金に目がくらんだのね。
Lieutenant Yamamoto was grinning. It really did look as though he had been blinded by greed, just as Beatrice said. Yup.
あのまま山積みにしていれば、やがて本土から来る向かいの連中の目にいやおうなく入るだろう。そうなれば、ここにいる誰もが得をしない。
So, are we going to have all nights? All nights, are they going to be originating from this?
我々の申し出を受けて。
Sorry, the nights. I meant to say the twilight. The twilights of the Golden Witch.
アンジェロ少尉は日本政府やイタリア政府にはどうしても知られたくないみたい。彼は自分が与えられた任務に最後まで責任を持ちたいみたいよ。
つまりどういうことだ。
何割かを口止め料として与えてでも島内に地中深く埋めることを望んでるわ。もちろん下士官たちには異論もあるみたい。5割は問題外だと憤慨してるわ。
後ろ宮、イタリア人たちの感触はどうだ。
They don't like this.
彼らも黄金がこれ以上の人目につくことを望んでいないようです。しかし取り分に異論があるようです。
少尉は1割ならば検討できると言ってるわ。
10%.
山本中尉がそれで納得しないだろうとも言ってるけど。
後ろ宮、イタリア人の返事はいかに。
1割なら検討すると。
This time it was Lieutenant Yamamoto who slammed down on the desk. Yup. They're going about. They're about to like toss hands, but the Italians didn't flinch either. An incredible tension filled the small room. However, despite his violent outburst a second ago, Lieutenant Yamamoto's expression still looked smug and in control. He was probably confident that he now had the initiative.
1割か。いいだろう。なら1割を譲ってやろう。しぶろくだ。
Bargains.
これ以上は譲らんと伝えろ。
It really is going to be like a bargain in a street market, like 40 and not lower than that. 40% for the Japanese, 60% for the Italians. The lieutenant was talking tough, but in truth, these negotiations were being made on an equal footing. If the Italians had just wanted the gold for themselves, there wouldn't have been much of a problem. But what if? What if they were true patriots and decided to return the gold for the purpose of reconstruction, even to the defeated puppet government of their homeland? If so, they would probably report the existence of the gold to the Italian embassy. Eventually, the Italian government would petition the allied nations for the retrieval of the gold. It probably wouldn't all make it back to Italy, but it might be used to effectively to repair and rebuild their better towns. 30%, and I'm making loss on that. If that happened, Lieutenant Yamamoto and his friends would only be able to sneak out a few ingots at most. He was greedily planning to make this his own treasured island so that he and his subordinates could have an enormous fortune all to themselves. If he wanted to succeed, the Italians would have to keep the presence of the gold quiet.
しかし疑問だ。アンジェロ少尉が誰にも黄金を渡したくないなら、沈みゆく潜水艦に任せて沈めればよかったはず。どうして荷上げを。
考えたくはないけれど、命令が遂行不能になった時点で少尉はこの黄金を横領することを考え始めたのかも。彼は今下士官たちに軍人としての意見と祖国に家族が待つ一個人としての意見を聞きたいと言っているわ。堅物の下士官たちが激高してる。
The discussion between the Italians was becoming fierce and emotional. Though their homeland had fallen, they had come all this way in accordance with its orders. They had probably been given this mission because they were particularly faithful and duty-minded troops. It seemed they couldn't just agree to a foreigner's proposal to embezzle and split up the gold. Lieutenant Angelo looked like he was doing all he could to calm the unexpectedly fervent rage of his subordinates. Looks like the gold is blinding them too. Everyone's mixing up their true feelings with how they want to be seen, and they can't make up their minds.
奴らの返答はいかに。後ろ宮。
ビーチェ。
考える時間が欲しいと言ってるわ。私はあなたと話せたから気が紛れてよかったけれど、他の人たちはそうじゃないの。とても長い後悔の果てに大勢の仲間を失って極限状態でここにいるわ。唯一の心の拠り所だった任務ももはや喪失してる。どうすればいいのか彼らも分かって。
注意。彼らは時間が欲しいと言っています。
いいとも。大いに議論したらいい。しかし時間はないぞ。隠すとなったら時間と手間がかかる。明日の正午までに結論しろ。
Deadlines, let's go.
イタリア人ども。
回答期限明日の正午だそうだ。注意。まるで脅迫だ。
Yep, he is.
少尉は全員の意見を聞くと言ってるわ。
感触は
多分難航するわ。少尉自身は山分けもあり得ると考えてるみたいだけど、下士官や他の仲間たちは多分反対するわ。
And thus, death.
みんなこの極東までの航海で大切な仲間を大勢失ってる。彼らは堅なに祖国への忠誠を貫きたがってる。
注意の申し出は断ると。
断ってもどうせ黄金は誰かの手に渡るわ。何も残らないならせめてインゴットの一本ずつでも密かに持ち帰ろうという少尉の言い分に同調者も出そうだけど、こういう時の男って勢いだけが迷走するわ。私も見当がつかない。
Oh boy, I feel like they are going to go on an all-out battle with each other. They're going to be like, the gold is mine!
イタリア人たちの胸中は複雑でしょうね。
Because how else will Kinzo keep all the gold, right?
彼らにとって降伏後のイタリアは敵国同然だろう。黄金をそのイタリアに返還するのは彼らの長い旅路を全て否定するのと同じだ。
しかし黄金を着服して山分けすることも彼らの旅路の否定になります。
彼らが義理立てすべき祖国はすでに滅んでいる。その時点で彼らの旅路の意味などもう失われている。気の毒な話だ。
どうせ意味のないことならインゴットの一本でもありつけた方がまだマシだと。
損得感情で言えばそうなる。そうならねえのが男ってもんだがな。
They don't want just some money, they want all of the money. All of it. The Italians were gathered in a cramped room, arguing fiercely.
反対です。死んだ戦友たちのためにも断固軍人魂を貫くべきです。
No, you just want the money.
貫くとはどういうことか。この島に黄金を隠せということか。東洋人たちの申し出を受けるということか。
東洋人たちは信用できません。断じて油断できません。
黄金を荷上げして日本人たちに見られたのはやはり失敗でした。艦と共に沈めるべきでした。
日本人の基地で沈めてどうする。やがていつかは引き上げられる。隠したことにはならない。いずれにせよこの島から黄金を誰にも知られずに運び出す方法はない。
Why people so greedy? I would be happy with like $100. Yeah, right? I mean, Jesus.
洋上で名誉ある自鎮を選んでいたらこんなことには。
Like one inyat, I think is 20 million yen or like 20 billion. It's a lot. Like you just need one. If we had just taken the honorable path and scuttled the sub, none of this would have
艦の
happened.
ダメージが致命的だったことがあの時点で分かっていたら、どうしてあの時少佐は日本軍に救援要請を。日本軍にこの黄金のことを知られたら少佐はどう任務を遂行するつもりだったんだ。
少佐が救援要請を出した時点で諸君にも祖国で待つ家族がいるはずだ。そして極東の島国までよく航海に耐えた。それに対するこれは正当な報酬なのだという考え方も。
あの時日本人に助けながら
絶対に反対だ。
Oh my god, they're all going out.
死んだ親友たちが浮かばれないこんな目に。
少尉、日本人が友好的でない場合、我々は最終的解決手段を辞さない覚悟が必要です。
See what I'm saying? They're like, then let's just kill them.
校長、最終的解決手段とは何か。
Someone gulped. A stiff tension hung over the room.
日本人たちはたるみ切っています。 実戦経験もない腰抜けばかりです。我々は精兵です。すでに基地内の間取りのほぼ全てと日本人の人数、配置状況は把握しています。
Yeah, you're all planning just to kill them.
少尉の命令があれば短時間で制圧できるでしょう。
Bruh.
戦闘員と思わしきは山本を含めて数人程度。残りは軍属の作業員風情です。上辺の人数は日本人が上ですが、実質兵力ではこちらが優位です。
日本人を殺せば迎えの船が来た時それをどう説明する？ごまかしようがないぞ。
死体さえ見つからなければどうとでもごまかせます。少尉、この基地を制圧するのは容易です。山本以下主要な兵士数人を殺してみせればあっさりと作業員たちは降伏するでしょう。彼らに黄金を運ばせ地中、もちろん彼らの口は永遠に塞ぎますが。
Yeah, that's just disappear the corpses, right?
殺しましょう。全員殺せば黄金のことは誰にも知られずに済むのです。
Oh my god, of course it's going to go this way. At that moment, the supposedly locked door opened slightly and a metal object was thrown in.
Granada!
It's already happening. As the yell rang out, the table was kicked over to be used as a shield and they all dropped to the floor. However, in this cramped room, it probably wouldn't do them any good. The Italians were all prepared for death. It's already happening! Fortunately, the shoddy grenade was a dud. The door was slammed open and 3 Japanese soldiers wielding pistols jumped in. Jesus Christ. Yep, it's happening. First Twilight. In this small room, no matter who shot where, it was bound to hit someone. The exchange of bullets instantly caused a rain of blood with casualties on both sides. The 3 who had jumped in were covered with bullet holes and fell over, moaning and thrashing. The first Twilight! Hello?
Gino! Gino! 肺をやられてる。助からない。
幸運な犠牲だ。あの手榴弾が不発でなかったら全員死んでる。
The grenade was still rolling about on the floor. It had been a surprise attack. Lieutenant Yamamoto had probably judged that the negotiations wouldn't go his way and had decided to make the first move. Or maybe he'd been planning from the beginning to put them in a position where they'd be gathered in one place to discuss his offer. Rokkenjima was their island. If they killed all the Italians, then not half but all of the gold would go to the Japanese. There was a chance the grenade might go off late. The Italians rushed out into the corridor. Oh Jesus fucking Christ. They heard gunfire down from the hallway. It was coming from the direction of the submarine dock. Clearly, the troops guarding the pile of gold were being attacked. Welp.
人数はこちらが焦らず囲んで殺せ。イタリア人狩りだ。
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh jeez. Oh fuck. As soon as I heard the sound of repeated gunfire, I knew that something which had been smoldering since the time the gold was unloaded had finally burst. The eyes of our soldiers looking at that gold hadn't been normal. Yes, those eyes had been entranced by demons. The Italians had been pushed to the limits by the heavy burden they bore. Who wouldn't have snapped after being trapped in a distant island where you can't understand the language or the writing? Thinking I had to do something, I ran towards the sound of gunfire. Looking back on it, that was an extremely stupid thing to do. That sound meant there were people shooting at each other, people killing each other. And yet, unarmed as I was, I dashed towards the sound as though I was trying to mediate some schoolyard fight. It didn't take long before I learned how foolish and naive that was in the heat of battle. Warrant Officer Hiraoka was lying face down, his entire body drenched in blood. Judging by the trail of blood behind him, it was clear that he had somehow managed to crawl here from a different room before dying. No, he was still twitching. He might not be dead yet. But on this island without a doctor? No, even if we had a doctor, who could possibly Save a man who had been shot this many times in the chest. When I looked in the room he must have crawled out of, I saw 2 more bloodstained Japanese corpses. I fell backwards pathetically on my butt, my mouth hanging open in shock. Come to think of it, that was the first time I had ever faced death in my life. The entire world was at war. Even though millions were dying both east and west, this was the first time I'd met with a person's death directly. Ridiculous. Didn't I join the army hoping to die? Didn't I whine about not being sent to the front lines? Yeah, so rejoice, Kinzo. Isn't this the death you were looking for? Why not spread your hands and yell out loud, "Come for me, magnificent death." He doesn't want to. Beatrice is here. Someone came running towards me. It was a colleague of mine, a Japanese man, Tajima-kun. He dashed towards me, pale-faced and out of breath. His face seemed horribly contorted with terror. Mine probably looked the same.
Tajima-kun, 何があったんだ?
Someone yelled in Italian, and at the same time Tajima-kun let out a scream. Then he grabbed onto me as he fell to the floor. A red stain was spreading across his back before my eyes. He got shot! As he spat bubbles of blood, he said that one word and died. But the shock of seeing someone die right in front of me did not freeze my heart. At a fundamental level, all living things are unconcerned with the death of others. The one thing that matters is whether they themselves die or not. It was the barrel of the gun the Italian soldier was pointing that froze my heart. Tajima-kun's back burst once more as he leaned against me. Flesh tore, blood splattered. The warm splash of it covered my face. Was the Italian still trying to finish him off, even though he had stopped moving for good? How foolish I've been. Can I still not understand the scene in front of me? Rejoice, Kinzo! Now you'll finally get what you wanted all this time! The Italians hadn't fired to finish off Tajima-kun. He had been aiming at the man Tajima-kun had fallen on. Me, Bushiromiya Kinzo. I pushed his corpse aside, scrabbled against the floor and dashed away, tumbling over myself. My hands had pushed off against the floor hard enough to tear off the ring fingernail off my left hand. Yeah, ouch! When faced with death, humans truly can't resist with all they've got. I tumbled over and over as I ran, scraping at parts of my body. It was painful, hot, but that didn't matter at all. I heard the yelling in Italian come from behind me over and over again. It felt like they were running, chasing after me. I didn't want to look back, so I kept on running and running, as though the Italians were right behind me. This is death. Didn't you want to die? No, I don't want to die. Why? Why didn't I want to die so badly? But now I know. I know how wonderful it is to be alive. She taught me. Bice did. Oh god. It kind of breaks the mood. I can only be free when I talk with her. No. By talking with her, I finally came alive for the first time. I was born. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to die. I want to live and see her right now. If I don't see her, I'll die. I'll be killed. Stay cool, Kinzo. She might be killed too. If you live and she dies, you might as well be dead. Before I knew it, my face was covered in tears, snot and saliva. When I stumbled into something and fell, I was finally able to come to my senses a little. Hey Oyupi, can't stay long, but wanted to wish you a good stream. Oh, thanks Kubamaru. Thank you very much for popping by for a second. Shit's happening. Shit's going down. I could still hear intermittent gunfire. The gunfight was still going on and had spread throughout the entire base. Bice, are you okay? Sorry. You'll find her and take her to a safe place. The lieutenant will probably kill all the Italians to steal the gold. Bice probably won't be an exception.
Bice.
Bice! Oh my god, stop! Stop! It just breaks the mood! I lived for the first time after meeting you. I was born. So if you die, I'll die again. I could feel every cell in my body being reborn, not as Ushinomiya Kinzo, but as a completely different Kinzo. Of course, I was terrified that I might really be shot if I went back, but I didn't want to die anymore, to truly die, so I was able to overcome my fear. This music can't be good.
君が知らなくていい。そこにじっと隠れていろ。同胞が呼びかけるまで出てくるんじゃない。
イタリア人の声が聞こえた。そこにいるぞ。
くそ、誰東洋人め。
Whoa! Whoa! Yikes! Yikes! Ruben stood with Beatrice behind his back and neatly shot the two men rushing at him with 29 bullets with his Beretta M1934. However, one of the 8mm bullets from their Type 94 semi-auto pistols went straight into Ruben's chest. All three of the shooters were struck in the chest and fell down in a heap. Oh boy. Are they both going to be hiding in the forest? The next person to appear was the commanding officer of the Japanese soldiers, Yamamoto. The blast of 3 guns had just sounded. Adding on Beatrice's screams, it was hardly surprising that he had noticed the encounter. Yamamoto spat. Beatrice used that moment to snatch up Ruben's gun. Get him! Kill him! He spat this last part at the two dying men who lay moaning at his feet. However, what had happened to them wasn't particularly surprising. It wasn't the first time it had happened either. In this tiny cramped tunnel, nearly everyone had met head-on. When both sides shot recklessly in such a situation, the result was 2 corpses. So whoever sensed another person and pulled the trigger quickest won. That was the only way to survive this battle without a bullet in your chest. Because of this, both Japanese and Italians had killed each other without hesitation, and they sometimes even pulled the trigger on oncoming allies. In the midst of all this were several Japanese men who had stumbled into the fight, wondering what was going on. It didn't matter whether the person was holding a gun or not. Everyone had reflexively pulled the trigger at the sight of anyone other than themselves trying to stay alive. The entire base had been wrapped up in the slaughter. There was a fierce gun battle taking place on the submarine dock, and a massacre resembling a hunt was taking place inside the base. Shish! Most of the non-combatants assigned to this base were killed before they knew what was going on. The Italians were indeed quite seasoned troops, but their numbers began to drop bit by bit. Bloodstained corpses were scattered everywhere. At first, it had probably been a proper gunfight. However, as their minds began to grow weary and numb, it evolved into that most basic cause of wars throughout humanity, the desire to kill all foreigners you don't understand. Whenever they heard words they didn't understand, they pulled the trigger. By that point, the screams of foreigners sounded no different from those of a man-shaped beast. After all, they couldn't understand pleading in another language, so it had long ago turned into a mere massacre. As the number of dead surpassed the number of living, silence began to return to the base. Just when it felt as though everyone had died and you could hear the desolate sound of the wind blowing through the caves, there would be a sudden scream, the crisp sound of a gun, and you'd remember that the massacre wasn't yet over. Sheesh! Jesus wept. This happened over and over again, and eventually true silence fell. It marked the pitiful end for those led astray by gold. So, who are our survivors? Kinzo definitely lived. The leader of the Italian soldiers, Angelo, had managed to survive somehow. He encountered nothing but the corpses of friend and foe. All was quiet once more in the base. If he was careless enough to call out, he might be shot from the shadows somewhere. So he snuck about like a panther, breathing quietly and searching for remaining enemies. There was no sign or trace of any living person. Maybe all of the people in the space had died. The Japanese struck first, but at that time, we were also talking about killing them. They simply made the first move as military men. So perhaps we should be grateful for this day. Even if the boat had come to pick us up, there would have been no honor left for us. It would have been mere failures in our mission, unfit to face our dead comrades. Perhaps dying here in the Far East alongside my gun is a more fitting end for a soldier. I noticed the sound of shuffling feet coming from around the corner and strained to hear. Is someone seriously wounded and dragging their feet? Noticing them before they notice me greatly helps my chances. At this stage, there's no point in taking prisoners. We must dispose of all the Japanese. I'll dash around the corner, quickly check to see who they are, and shoot if it's a Japanese person. Nothing more. I've been hiding my footsteps the whole time. They probably don't know where I'm here. Once the shuffling footsteps had come close enough, Angelo leaned around the corner and raised his gun. The voice that reached him spoke Italian. It's Beatrice. Don't shoot her!
貴様を探していたぞ、アンジェロ少尉。これで全員だな。俺はしっかり貴様らの死体を数えて回ってたんだからな。
しっかりして。
Oh no.
アンジェロ少尉。
Blood poured from Angelo's chest. His gun fell to the floor, then his knees, and the rest of his body crumpled and stopped moving. Yamamoto's accuracy with a gun wasn't particularly stellar. However, Angelo had waited until they were fairly close before jumping out, so Yamamoto had made the shot. He had managed to hit even with a short-barreled handgun in one hand and a woman as hostage in the other.
それにしても我が六軒島守備隊の情けないことよ。やれやれクズども。
女を盾に取らなきゃ戦えない。人手だし。離して。
Oh man.
静かにしろ。イタリア女は実に騒がしい。おとなしくしてれば命までは取らんという。
Oh man, Kinzo's gonna have you. It was such an obvious lie that even he wore a bitter smile. The Italians were spies working for the enemy, and they all died along with the garrison in a gunfight. Since this was the story Yamamoto wanted to tell, he couldn't afford to have any Italian survivors. By this point, he wouldn't be able to keep the entire pile of gold, but he should be able to grab as many as he could carry. Even that would be worth a huge amount of money. Beatrice suddenly swung her head, smashing Yamamoto's nose hard. She's doing her best! She almost managed to escape, however Yamamoto quickly grabbed her leg and tripped her. She fell onto her back, and Yamamoto mercilessly stomped his foot down on her stomach and pointed his gun at her. Oh boy, he's so gross. Kinzo's gonna have you. Yes, get his ass! Kinzo had jumped out from the shadows. He was holding a gun he had stolen from one of the corpses. Get his ass!
彼女を離せ。苦しがってる。
貴様であろう。イタリア人どもに攻撃があることを密告した。
何の話だ？
Yamamoto didn't know that the grenade had been a dud. He hadn't been sure that the surprise attack would work, but it hadn't. So he'd assumed that Kinzo must have tipped him off.
貴様のせいで奇襲が失敗してこのざまだ。この裏切り者め。貴様がこのイタリア女を通じて内通していたことはお見通しよ。
Man, you are reaching like you are reaching so far up your ass, man.
あなたが黄金に目がくらんだからこの事態を招いたのではないのか。
逃げて金蔵。この男は命乞いしてる人も撃ったわ。あなたも撃たれる。
喋るなイタリア女。もう一度口を聞いたら。
Yeah, I don't think Kinzo will hesitate to shoot you either. Yamamoto grounded his heel into Beatrice's gut. Yes, he is, and you should.
頭を冷やせよ愚か者め。私とお前で口裏を合わせれば あの黄金の山は私たちだけのものではない。私一人では少々をくすねるくらいしかできんが、お前と二人でならもっと多くの数をくすねることができる。召喚面をするつもりはない。男同士二人できっちり山分けしよう。
Yeah, no, Beato is worth for him way more than the gold.
ゴブゴ
Tough
ブに
love.
分けようと言って、あなたは彼らの寝首をかこうとしたのではないのか。
後ろ見。どうやら貴様は黄金より鉛の方がお好みらしいな。
Without any hesitation, Yamamoto raised the barrel of his gun towards Kinzo and pulled the trigger. It grazed Kinzo's right ear. If Yamamoto's aim had been just a bit better, the bullet would have slammed into Kinzo's face. Not letting Yamamoto's momentary distraction go to waste, Beatrice lashed out and planted her right foot in Yamamoto's crotch. Yeah, let's go! Let's go, girl! After moaning in pain, a demonic expression flashed across Yamamoto's face and he stomped on her chest. Yeah, well, you're about to die. Beatrice shut her eyes tightly, hoping that she could withstand the coming pain. No one wants to watch the moment they get shot. But Kinzo saved her. Kinzo saved her. Drip, drip, drip. A blood splash poured out of Yamamoto's chest.
あんたがあんたの都合で、私も私の都合であんたの命を。
Die to death! Sentence to death! Great Equalizer is the death!
Great Equalizer is the death after all. Yes, correct. That is correct. Could Yamamoto hear Kinzo's words until the end? In his last moments, he seemed to grin. Then, slowly, he fell backwards with a spurt of blood.
Kinzo! 無事なの？てっきりあなたが撃たれたと。
Beatrice tried to stand up, but then doubled over and started coughing.
Bice! 怪我をしたのか？
あばらが痛むわ。その人でなしが激しく踏んだものだから。
Oh man. And this is when their love story begins, huh?
大丈夫か？折れていなければいいんだが。
これくらいで折れるほどイタリア女はやわじゃないの。でもありがとう。あなたは命の恩人だわ。あなたが来なければ私はきっとそこに転がっていたわ。
Yamamoto had shown no mercy. Her wrists were probably cracked. We didn't have the option of waiting, possibly for several days, for the ship that was coming. I made a decision to carry her away from the island. The man who kept yelling about preserving the secrecy of the base is lying there dead. The next island over, Nijima, is close. A small boat should be more than enough to get us there.
君を病院へ運ばなければならない。君が思っているより傷が深かったらいけない。
知らなかった。この島には病院もあるのね。
ない。隣の島へ船で運ぶ。君は病院へ。私はこの島での出来事をうまく片付けないと。とばっちりで軍法会議者だ。
頼みがあるの。私を病院へ。
No!
どうして？
病院へ行って大使館に連絡が行けば私はやがて本国へ送還されるわ。
She wants to stay!
そしてきっとあれこれと尋問を受けるんだわ。私はママを見殺しにした奴らを自分の祖国とは認めないの。もう私の帰るべき祖国はないの。
And is this why he then makes Kuwadorian Mansion?
ここが私の終点だからもう私はどこへも行きたくないの。私に優しくしてくれたアンジェロ少尉もルーベンスもみんな 死んでしまった。
だから君までここで死ぬと。イタリア女はヤワじゃないんだろ。生きるんだ。
ねえ金蔵、生きるってどういう意味？あなたが教えてくれたはずよ。生きるってのはただ息をすることじゃないわ。私はイタリアへ帰りたくないの。
ビーチェ。
あなたは私と出会うまで死んでいたと言ってくれたわ。
It's the same for her.
それは私も同じなの。潜水艦の中で私は死んでいた。祖国も滅び、ママも死んだ。パパもね。私はこんな船沈んでしまえと願ったわ。だからここにたどり着いた時、実は死に損ねたとがっかりした。その矢先よ、少尉が英語がわかる者はいるかと騒ぎ出したのは。
When Kinzo met Beatrice, he finally forgot about dying. And when Beatrice met Kinzo, she also forgot about dying. Oh. Oh.
祖国もあなたにさらってほしいと願うの。
ビーチ
ェ。でもそれは叶えられない望みだとも分かってる。
Don't worry, he will make it work. He will get one of the gold and be like, Rokkenjima is now mine.
ならばせめて迎えの船が来るまでの数日間を胸の痛みなんて気にしない。だって迎えの船に連れ去られたら私はもう死んでしまうのだから。
Beatrice spoke this, smiling softly. She did her best to hide the pain in her chest.
お願い、金蔵。迎えが来るまでの数日間でいいから私をさらって。
その願いは叶えられない。
Looking apologetic, Kinzo lifted Beato up and gently sat her in the boat.
育児なし。やっぱり日本の男は軟弱だわ。
そうだな。私は育児なしだ。だから君の願いは片方しか叶えられない。
With a clunk, he placed it, wrapped in a jacket, in the boat.
片方とは？
迎えが来るまでの数日間でいいからの方は叶えられないということさ。
え、どういう意味？
君をさらう、そっちを叶えることにした。
He's going to kidnap her! There has to be a doctor on Nijima. I'm wearing a Navy uniform. I should be able to pass myself off as a survivor of a boat carrying a VIP that was sunk by enemy ships. If the doctor happens to be the greedy sort, all the better. After all, I have right here the golden magic to make people do what I say. A witch from a distant country took my lifeless body and gave me a soul. A woman came to me with the gold and revived me with her magic.
君は魔女だ。
And that's how Beatrice, the Golden Witch, was born.
魔女だ。
黄金の魔女よ。みんなと同じレシピで作ってるのに、私だけがパスタから消し炭を生み出す錬金術が使えるの。
Oh my god.
あなたと同じく私もあなたがいてくれる限り生きることを許される屍。あなたがいなくなったら私はすぐにでも死んでしまう。
Oh my god.
死なせない。
本当に？
絶対に。
だってね。だってあなたは私をさらったんだから。
And thus Kuwadorian was made. Rokkenjima was bought. Oh man, that's so sad.
そうですか。金蔵さんがそこまで話しましたか。
Did you treat her?
では、まさかあなたなのですか？
Of course, they trust each other. They trust each other. Maybe that's
おじい
why.
様がベアトリーチェを連れて行った 新島の医者というのは。
驚くに値しねえ。新島の医者って時点でピンとくる。
突然海軍の兵隊さんが外国人の女性を連れて現れたのです。驚きました。
What a story, right? Jesus.
しかもその上軍機なので秘密で治療しろというの
Of
です。
course it gets immortalized as like the epitaph.
それがおじい様との初対面だったのですか？
そうです。それが金蔵さんと初めての対面でした。
黄金で言いなりになった欲深な医者ってのもお前のことなのか？
これは手厳しいですな。突然外国人の女性患者を連れ込み、軍機だから秘密にせよと言い、
Nanjo's a real one for real. He is! He's the
治療代が必ず
man!
持ってくるから担保にと言って黄金のインゴットを差し出す相手ですぞ。厄介事はごめんでした。渋々とですとも。
確かにそれもそうですね。でも南條先生はベアトリーチェをかくまってくれたんですね。
金蔵さんほどではありませんが、私にも英語の心得がありました。二人の会話を漏れ聞き、二人が決して厄介な何者かでないと確信したからです。
Nanjo, you're such an MVP.
もちろんインゴットに目がくらまなかったといえば嘘が過ぎますがな。
He was like, the money.
私も今よりは若かったものですから。
その後彼女は
しばらくの療養の後、後宮家の使いの方が来て小田原に移すとおっしゃいましてな。引き取られていきました。
おじい様が自分で迎えに行ったわけではないのですか？
金蔵がどう六軒島の事件を言い訳したにせよ、しばらくの間は自由には動けなかっただろうよ。
ですな。軍をごまかすのが金蔵さんの人生で一番の大勝負だったと言っておりましたが。
ベアトリーチェは小田原に行って、それから
And then?
使われていない別荘の一つにかくまったと聞いています。
Ah.
当時の金蔵さんにはもう家族がおられましたからな。そこはうまくやられたのでしょうな。
クワドリアン以前から二重生活はお手の物だったというわけだ。
I guess Quadoran just made it simpler.
さ。
何してるんですか？
Oh my god, the way he's like, no butt
お
pinches.
尻におできでも？
Oh my god, he's so prepared.
それから
I love them both, they're so good.
ベアトリーチェはおじい様の保護で別荘でいつまでも
平穏につつましやかに暮らしたと。
It's like I love how Willard Sprite you see that he says something and then he was like whoop. Ah, just beautiful. Hold on, now I have to fix my own position. There we go. Oh god, I got my windows mixed up. Okay, here we go.
それからしばらく経ってからでした。
Haha.
金蔵さんとは血のつながらない娘がいることを聞かせ。
Leon's got fingers of steel. Yeah, I think they're harder than steel. There it is. The child.
クワドリアンのベアトリーチェか。
金蔵さんの前では気丈に振る舞われていたそうですが。
She died at birth, didn't she?
お気の毒なことです。
まさか亡くなったんですか？
Yep, sounds like it.
驚くな。金蔵はその娘を生まれ変わりと信じたんだぞ。心をないがしろにするんじゃねえ。推理は可能だ。
そうですね。
Oh boy.
私は金蔵さんが彼女と過ごされた小田原の数年間を知りません。しかしその後の今日までの金蔵さんを見れば、ほんの数年間であっても彼がいかに彼女を深く愛したか伺い知ることができるでしょう。
I mean, he killed for her. He literally moved, like, deceived the military for her. Man, he moved mountains for her.
そうですね。
そしてその娘のためにクワドリアンを作ったというわけか。
Ah, okay, so it was for his daughter.
金蔵さんは潜水艦の黄金を元手に巧みに立ち回り、また持ち前の英語力を生かし GHQ に強いコネクションを作ってみるみるうちに大富豪となられたのです。この辺はリオンさんに説明する必要はありますまい。
And that's how he bought
その
Rokkenjima.
莫大な財産で六軒島を買い取り屋敷を建てます。小田原の親族たちは無人島を丸ごと買い取ったおじい様を酔狂だと笑ったそうです。
10トンの黄金がポケットに収まる大きさだったなら金蔵も島を買わなかったろうよ。
I think it's also because that's where he met Beatrice, so maybe he has like a soft spot. He hid the gold somewhere in Rokkenjima, built up a fortune with the ingots he'd taken out of it, and then bought up the whole treasure island.
ですな。そして後ろ宮家の黄金伝説が始まるのです。
インゴットには片翼のワシが刻印されていたと聞くが。
片翼のワシというよりは片翼に見えてしまうワシというべきでしょうな。
Is that an Italian symbol?
それはどういう意味ですか？
You see it often in Europe.
翼を広げたワシを紋章にしたものはサロ共和国の国旗にもワシがいやいや鷹でしたかな。
So the Ushiromiya wing is the mark of Italy? Of like the Salo Republic?
刻印が薄かった。
No wonder he carries it, the logo with him.
そうです。戦時下の粗雑な刻印でした。本来は翼を広げたワシの紋章が刻印されるべきだったのです。それがちょうど斜めに断ち切ったように半分薄れて消えていたのです。
And Kinzo just took it.
翼を広げたワシが半分消えて、それが片翼のワシに見えた。
I see.
金蔵は自分の運命を大きく変えたベアトリーチェの黄金に片翼のワシを見て、それを自分の紋章とすることを決めたに違いあるまい。
Yeah, yeah. I just said that.
果たして正しく刻印されていたなら、それは共和国旗の鷹だったのか、それともまさか相当の。いやいや、そんなまさか。あの莫大な黄金の山の前で金蔵さんと杯を傾け合いながら黄金ロマンで夜を明かすのはなかなかに楽しいことでした。
Oh man, Nanjo knew so much. I wonder how much Genji knew though, because he seemed like he knew quite a bit as well.
もっとも金蔵さんはその刻印から黄金の出所を探られることを嫌いましてな。外部に持ち出す黄金にはわざわざ自分の片翼のワシをデザインした別の刻印を打ち直していたようですが。
お前には見せるだけだったのか。金蔵もケチだな。
無論大富豪になった後、金蔵さんは再び私のもとへ訪れ、未払いだった治療費をしっかり払ってくれましたとも。治療費にはちと多すぎましたのでな、ちゃんとお釣りを払いましたが。
それ以来おじい様と交流を。
Yes, one of the very few people he trusts.
金蔵さんは私が秘密を守ってベアトリーチェをかくまったことをことのほか深く感謝してくれましてな。
He said the same about Genji, so I'm going to assume Genji also plays a role in concealing Beato.
おじい様は
Sorry, Bice.
かつての小田原の親族たちは欲深な嘘つきばかりだとおっしゃっていました。
I need to be careful about confusing our Beato with Bice.
南條先生の義理堅さが嬉しかったに違いありません。おじい様のような方がどうしてあなたにだけは心を開いたのかわかる気がします。
私にも多少の異国趣味とチェスの趣味がありましてな。金蔵さんとは以来意気を統合しまして、こうして細々と、しかし気づけば随分と。
Yes, we have a bunch of Beatos.
長くお付き合いをさせてもらっています。
大きな金を扱うやつほど小さな金にもきっちりしてる。治療費以上をもらおうとしなかったあんたの律儀さに 惹かれるところもあったんだろうよ。
とんでもない。大きなお金に怯えてしまっただけです。後になってから後悔しましたとも。どうにも昔から肝が小さいものでしてな。
肝は十分に不定さ。
そうでしょうか。お世辞でも嬉しいですね。
政治じゃねえ。
Oh, what? Come on, Nanjo deserves that compliment. Don't be mean, Willard. Nanjo does have guts. He has balls of steel. He is an MVP. For at least one whole year after Kinzo's death, Nanjo had taken part in hiding the secret of that death. Of course, Natsu must have given him some hush money. Still, there could be no doubt that he'd had enough guts to withstand pressure from Kinzo's children for a long time without slipping up once. Yeah, like, Nanjo looks like he's super mega squishy, but that man is a whole ass unit. He is a steel unit.
義理がたいのがお前の勝負なんだろうよ。
Look at him! Look at this man! He's a whole tank, a whole unit of a man.
それしか取り柄がないものでして。
おじい様は良い友人に恵まれたと思います。
This is actually kind of wholesome. As in the friendship between Nanjo and Kinzo. And sure, Kinzo has cheated on his wife. Yeah, but I can't lie. They're both very wholesome. The daughter thing? Not wholesome though. Mm-mm.
おじい様にとってベアトリーチェという女性がどれほど人生の大部分を占めてきたか分かった気。
何も分かってなんかいねえ。
My cat has appeared. My kitty has appeared. Hello, Sticky. Hi. And thus, time to blend in the cat into the overlay because she is about to jump up. She's looking at the table. Drum roll. Sticky. Pika-fing. Ping mama. She's staring at me. Now we just wait for her to jump. There we go. She has come up and now she's coming to be Vita linda. My cat has come to see the tea spilling as well. Yeah, the whole thing with his daughter was his wife reincarnated is ick. Yeah, it is an omega yikes. It's like an ultra omega yikes.
ベアトリーチェを誰が殺したか、それが分からなきゃ、俺たちはいつまでもここから出られね
え。Well, childbirth killed her.
そうでしたね。早く終わらせなければ葬儀はもう終わっているのですからね。
ちげえな。葬儀なんだ、これがな。
私たちのさせられていることがですか？
これまでに聞いたどのベアトリーチェも殺されてなどいない。それを俺たちが殺されたことにしようとしているベルンカステルにとってはこれこそが本当の葬儀なんだ。
Yeah, you need to specify which of the Beatrices we're talking about.
それを私たちが暴こうとしている。
お前、つくづく察しがいいな。仮想の駒と話してるとは思えん。俺のワトソン役として与えられた駒だからか。いって。
And thus another butt page. Look at them.
相棒駒呼ばわりとは失礼な方です。
Oh my god, Willard is like the unwilling self-insert who is also very meta-aware and like what's it called? Omniconscient? Who has an omnipresence, so he's using like the terms that we ourselves use and those in the higher plane outside the game board, and Leonardo's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't call me a piece.
Willard Holmes.
操作の基本は聞く
Willard Holmes.
まだ聞くべきベアトリーチは残っている。
The daughter? To indicate whom they should talk to next, Will nodded in the direction of George, Jessica, and Maria. Baby! Maria seemed to be lecturing the others about something. She's baby!
すごいんだね、ベアトリーチェは。
伏せたカップの中にね、魔法でキャンディーをいっぱい生み出してくれたの。
伏せたカップの中に。
So this is our Beato.
そりゃすげえぜ。確かに魔法だ。
マリアちゃんは魔女とか魔法とかそういうものが大好きですから。
魔女の権威に話を聞かないわけにはいかねえな。
When looking for someone to ask about Beatrice, Maria rose to the top of the list. The Beatrice she spoke of wasn't the real Beatrice, the one Kinzo and the others had talked about. However, here and now, on the Rokkenjima of 1986, the name Beatrice probably refers to the person Maria's always talking about.
バトラの姿が見えないな。
Batter whom? If someone asks, like, batter whom? Jesus. Ushinomiya Battler, the one who was forced to fight as Beatrice's opponent in many games and the most important person in this game, this tale. A battler in this world would probably be the peace version, but even so, it should be possible to get some vital information out of him. Will probably wanted to talk to Battler too, but he was nowhere to be seen in the cousins group.
バトラ君は今回の葬儀には欠席しています。
Oh, so he exists, okay.
最も年の近いいとことして残念です。
仲はいいのか？
ええ、もちろん。
バトラが何かスケベな出現をするたびに尻をつねってるんだろ。
And he pinched his butt.
おや、よくご存知で。
Oh my god.
推理は可能でしたか？
バトラに同情する。
Berncastel said that everything we needed was gathered here. Since Battler isn't here, that probably means it's possible to find out everything without asking for his side of the story. Or maybe she's intentionally hiding the core elements and making us take the wrong way around. As part of some fickle witch's game.
いねえってことは、とりあえず今は奴の話を聞く必要はねえってことだろう。マリアたちに話を聞こう。
Yeah, I think we'll find out a lot of things that we need to know from the others outside of Battler, because I think Peace Battler wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what's going on.
スケベな話はしねえからな。尻をつねるんじゃねえぞ。
Keep your hands off my ass sounds like something my boyfriend tells me.
ならほんの少し
Oh
言葉
my
を
god.
選ぶだけでいいのに。
With a roguish smile, Leon pinched the air indexed finger against the middle.
おや、次期当主様だぜ。クソジジイの介護はもういいのかよ。
She pinched him. At least Leon was impartial. No mercy, even for Jessica. Will felt a bit gratified.
そう。
Oh my god, nobody is free of the butt
クラウ
pinching.
スの子で次期当主ということは、ジェシカは妹に当たるんだな。
So the question is this like the ideal child that Nazi wanted to have, and this is like the one miracle board? He was so used to Jessica being an only child that though the scuffle between the two looked perfectly natural, something didn't feel quite right about it.
ジェシカ、もう少し妹らしい言葉遣いはできないのかい？ついでに言うと、もう少し年頃の女性らしい言葉遣いにも気を。あと、次期当主様なんて呼び方は嫌いだっていつも言ってるよ。
うせえぜ。私は私らしく生きちゃら。次期当主様みてえにお上品に生きてたら息が詰まっちまわ。
Oh my god, they're cute. Oh my god, damn Leon, don't go so hard. You're making her cry. Stop.
ジェシカ、お客様もいらしているというのに、また母さんに言いつけられたいかな？
Oh my god, they are very cute.
あれはあれで仲睦まじいな。
リオンは次期当主として火の打ちどころのない素晴らしい人だからね。ま、素晴らしすぎてジェシカちゃんの気持ちもちょっぴりわかるかな。
Yeah, that pretty much sounds like the kind of child that Natsu wanted to have.
何をしても比較される。だからグレると。
もしジェシカちゃんが一人っ子として生まれてたら、きっと落ち着きのある理想の令嬢になってたと思う。
Biggest joke on earth.
それは面白い想像だね。
Man, I hate to break it to you, George. Who is Leon and why hasn't Leon appeared in other stories? That's a mystery. We don't know. Like, Leon is allegedly Kraus's child and Jessica's older brother. So my assumption is, well, Byrne has like made has like alluded to miracle fragments existing in Umineko. So my assumption is that this game board is the miracle fragment in which most of the things are okay, and in which Natsu was able to give birth to a male child before Jessica, because that was like her biggest struggle, right? Her giving birth to a child. And we are in an ad break. We're in an ad break. I'm gonna wait for like 40 seconds. I'm gonna pour another cup of tea while the ad break runs. Well, since we're gonna talk about like the Beato that we know, are we also going to see like the creation of our Beato and also the creation of the servants and the summoning of the demons? Hint, hint. Are we going to see certain demons being summoned for the first time in these flashbacks? I want to see. I want to see for science, you know. I just want to see the certain demons being summoned for science. I just want to know how the contracts are made. Like I said, for science. Okay, but ad break over, so we can continue.
安心しろ。あの性格は一人っ子でも変わらねえ。
庄司お兄ちゃん、この人誰
？She's so baby, I love her.
あなたとは初対面ですよね。でも後ろ宮家にはお詳しそうだ。僕はジョージ、彼女はマリア。よろしく。
ウィルだ。ベアトリーチェについて調べている。知っていることを聞かせてほしい。ベ
アトリーチェ
？Yes, activate.
ほらね。
Activate.
ベアトリーチェはいるの。
Oh my god, you have activated the Beato mode. Though Maria had looked hostile towards this unfamiliar man, as soon as she heard the name of the witch she loved pass his lips, her eyes began to sparkle.
ほら、マリアちゃん、
Yes.
お客様にちゃんとご挨拶をしないと。
こんにちは。後ろ宮マリアと申します。
He's so cute.
ベアトリーチェを知ってる人がいて嬉しい。握手。
Oh my god, Maria is too good for this world. Maria suddenly stuck out her small hand and Will reached out for it reflexively. Yes, perfect. As soon as he did, he felt a bright light seeping out from the gap between their hands. The theater-going power that Byrne Castell had given him had affected Maria.
ベアトリーチェはね、六軒島の魔女なの。いつもね、マリアが六軒島に来るたびに一緒に遊んでくれるの。マリアのね、一番のお友達で、マリアージュ・ソルシエールの仲間な
Aww.
の。
Oh, we're going in? The light grew brighter and brighter. This time, he could feel himself being drawn into Maria's world. Yes, let's go to Maria's world. I have no objections. Let's go. Yes! I'm Ushiromiya Maria. My mama is Rosa. My papa... I don't have a papa. Fuck him. I think I remember Mao showing me a picture long ago and saying, "This is your papa." It was a picture of a man with a dark suntan on a beach wearing a swimsuit. Later on, when I learned what papa meant, I asked Mama to show me that picture again, but she said it didn't exist. But it had to have existed. When I drew a picture of it and showed it to Mama, she got really mad and said it didn't exist, or that if it did, she had already thrown it away. Ever since then, she kept saying that I didn't have a papa. Because he's a piece of shit.
知ってる？パパとママがいないと赤ちゃんができないって言われてるけど、それは嘘なんだよ。
well,
少女解体か。
No!
ミオ、乙女が身ごもって男の子を産むであろう。その名はインマヌエルなり。マリアはもし男の子に生まれていたなら、それが名前だったかもしれない。
Will did not start this convo with the baby. I agree. Stop it. We were police. Police, don't. But also, second question: is Maria reciting the Bible?
マタイ伝1章20節。
Yep.
違うよ。23
Oh my god! Maria's like, no, you fool!
20節はかくてこれらを思い巡らすとき、見つかいが夢に現れていった。
Maria's Jesus confirmed. She's a good Christian girl.
ダビデの子、ヨセフよ。妻マリアを迎えることを恐れるな。その腹に宿るものは精霊によるものなり。
Maria has read the whole Bible confirmed. She is a smart child. Lipkochen and Mario Shiramiya meetup when? Yeah, oh my god, please, I really need that to happen. I've only played like one portion of Little Goody Two Shoes yet, and I think next week I'll stream it again. But please, God, they need to meet. Maybe I should draw that.
パパがいないなんておかしい、変な子だ、かわいそうな子だと言われた。でもママに聞いてもパパなんかいない、知らない、存在しないと言われた。
I wouldn't call a child weird for not having a papa, but I guess this was the 80s, but Jesus Christ, come on, don't blame the kid.
聞くだけで怒られて叩かれた。
Oh.
だからマリアは自分が誰から生まれたかよくわからなくなった。
Oh, poor baby.
人間として正しくない、未熟で不正な存在。
No.
みんなとは違う、おかしな、かわいそうな子だと気がついた。
Oh my god.
親も他人も関係ねえ。お前はお前だ。
それを未熟な幼児に教えるのはきっと難しかったろうね。ひょっとしたら幼稚園の先生はいじめられてなかったし、そう諭してくれたのかもしれない。
Man, Maria doesn't deserve this.
そんな慰めでは私の心の空白。
And anyone who bullies Maria is someone whom I'm going to punch in the gut. And if it's a child who's bullying Maria, then I'll just gently toss them into a sand box.
どんな言葉も私の疑問に答えてはくれなかった。
You bully Maria, you're gonna catch these hands, is what I'm saying.
その疑問に答えたのがザ・ブックだというのか。
神父様がね、来たの。
A priest? It was probably part of some lesson to enrich the minds of children through an edifying tale. To most of the children, it was just an ordinary fairy tale they might have heard from one of their teachers. Actually, I think we were just bored because it was too hard to grasp. Then, at the end, the priest said something important.
神は何でも知っているか。
うん。だからマリアは聞いた。マリアにはママしかいない。パパはない。パパがなくてもマリアはママから生まれてきた。それはおかしくて悲しいことなのって。
The priest taught me, there's nothing strange about a child having no papa. After all, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin, and the one who gave birth to him was the Virgin Maria? I was surprised. Maria, the name I was given, had been showing me the answer all along. Shout out to the priest, based. He's so based. The one time I am praising Christians.
聖母マリアは一人で赤ちゃんが産めたんだって。じゃあマリアも一人で赤ちゃんが産めるのって。
神父は何と答えた？
聖母マリアが赤ちゃんを身ごもれたのは聖霊のおかげだからって。マタイ伝一節20章講談。その腹に宿るものは聖霊によるものなり。
So is this why she started reading the Bible?
またまたマリアはびっくりした。これはどういうことだと思う？
お前はこう解釈した。後ろ宮マリアには人間の父はいない。本当の父は聖霊だと。
Maria has confirmed Jesus. I accept this interpretation. Regardless of the Bible's original meaning, this young, sad girl whose lack of a father had caused her to lose her sense of identity had finally created a way to understand herself. Oh.
それを知ったとき、私はなぜ他の子たちと自分だけが違うのかを。私をバカにするみんなはヨセフの子。でも私だけは違った。私はみんなより劣ってなんかいない。私は神の子。精霊の子だった。
Oh my god, that is...
ママに話したよ。マリアにはパパなんていない。ママはママで、マリアは神様の力で生まれてきたんだよ。
Oh my god! It was probably painful for Rosa when Maria asked about her father. Why did Maria have no papa when everyone else had a papa and a mama? Every time she was asked this, Rosa flew into a rage and changed the subject. Then, for some reason, and all on her own, Maria had found an answer that satisfied her. She had no papa. She was a child of Mama and God. I can't believe Rosa married God. It isn't too difficult to imagine that Rosa, after hearing this young girl's explanation, might go along with it as though it were true.
ベアトは宇宙を生み出す最小の人数を2人だと言った。私はこれを両親がいないと子はなせないという意味だと感じた。
Well, yeah.
その時、私はベアトは魔女だけれど人間から生まれた魔女なんだって。ベアトは精霊の子じゃない。でも私は違う。ママだけから生まれた。精霊から生まれた。ベアトは私と一緒じゃなきゃ宇宙を作れない。でも私は神は我らと共にある。私一人でも精霊と共に宇宙が作れる。
Wow, okay.
ベアトは私を原初の魔女と呼んだ。そしてやがては一人で全てを生み出せる造物主になれるよと言ってくれた。
She has a very vast imagination, so yes, of course you can, baby.
私が一人で無から有を創造する。それをベアトが無限に膨らませる。園児はそれを受け継ぎ語り広げる魔女の使徒だった。
マリアージュ・ソルシエルか。
1と無限は大きく違う。だからベアトは偉い。でも無と有の前には1も無限も同じ有でしかない。私は世界で一番の魔女。世界で一番偉い造物主になることを約束されていた子。
That is a way to see, to like
マリアージュ・ソルシエールはそんな私を温める
to find solace.
私は後ろ宮マリア、神と共にあるマリア。
Oh, if you liken Maria's sense of identity to a universe, then this endless stream of words coming from her might be like the Big Bang. She spent so long tormented over how to interpret her lack of a father. Then by chance she saw a line in the Bible that looked like it secretly referred to her, and she finally formed an understanding for herself. She became a Christian girl. The sad girl who had hated herself for being different from all her classmates finally found a meaning for her existence. At that moment, Maria's universe, which had once been nothing, which had been nothingness, was born as a clump of ultra-hot, ultra-high pressured energy. Then, later on, she went to Rokkenjima, met the Endless Witch, who called herself Beatrice, and the clump of energy exploded in a big bang, giving birth to their magical compendium. That was the universe known as Mariage Sorcière. Oh, this is legit so beautiful, though.
話が少し飛躍しすぎだ。順を追う。
いい。どこから？
自分は精霊の子だと解釈したお前が、そこから次第にオカルトに傾倒していくことは容易に理解できる。そこからだ。そんなお前がベアトリーチェとどこで出会い、どのように交流していったか。
それは本当にある日 突然の唐突なこと。ロッケン島に住まうベアトリーチェという魔女に私は会ってみたかったの。同じ魔女として。
その頃にはもう自分が魔女という自覚があったのか。
あった。その頃には聖書とオカルトでは大人にも負けないくらいの知識があったから。だから私は魔法は使えずとも自分を魔女だと信じてた。
I see.
ちょっと滑稽だね。だから私は魔女見習いなの。
ああ。
いつベアトリーチェと出会った？
よくは覚えてない。でもその出会いはよく覚えてる。
It's interesting she calls herself an adult when she's like 9.
それはとてもとても
Single digits old and she's like, I'm an adult. But I'll let her. I'll let her live. Maria's allowed everything. Who?
そなたが後ろ宮マリア。
It was so very sudden. I was just drinking some milk tea all alone in the rose garden arbor. Mama said she had to talk about something important with Uncle Kraus, so she told me to go outside and play. Suddenly, she was sitting right there. I didn't know anyone who spoke that way. I quickly realized she was someone I didn't know at all.
あなたは誰？
会いたいと言ったのはそなただ。わらわの島に魔女が訪ねてくるから出迎えてやったというのに、そなたはわらわの名を問うというのか。
Oh, look at that.
ベアトリーチェ。
いかにもわらわがベアトリーチェである。
Yes, Beato, my beloved. The best ever.
確かに。
Your wife who could never.
とっても。
Oh my god, she just wanted to meet Beato and there she was. She was like, yo, what's up?
魔女や精霊はいつだって私たちのそばにいる。彼らが姿を見せようとしないだけで、そして彼らが姿を見せたなら、それはあまりに唐突に、私はそれをまさに知ったの。
そしてベアトリーチェと友達に？
彼女はママの用事が終わるまでずっと私とおしゃべりをしてくれた。魔法の話や魔女の話、マリアが精霊の子であることも。
その時のベアトリーチェの印象は？
こう言っては悪いけど、知識だけなら私が上だった。最初は彼女のことを大した魔女じゃないと見下しかけた。まあそれは私のうぬぼれ。魔法体験にはいろんなものがある。ましてや私のそれは独学。ベアトの魔法体系とは異なったから、私が一方的にそういう印象を持ってしまったんだろうね。すぐにそれを後悔して謝ることになるの。
謝る？ベアトリーチェが何かお前の尊敬を勝ち取ることをしてみせたのか。なるほど。魔法を見せたというわけか。
Such as the thing with the cup, right? We moved to the beach and talked a lot, sitting at a table under an umbrella.
なるほど、マリア。そなたは実に勤勉だ。その年で1000年の魔女のわらわにそれだけの講釈をできるとは、実に尊敬に値する。して、そなたは何の魔法を使えるのか？
魔法？
そなたが魔女を語るならば、魔法の一つも見せられるであろうが。
I was stunned for a second. Of course it should have been obvious. I was a child of the Holy Ghost, and since I'd studied so much of the occult, I was also a witch, not a human. Until that day, I had been so sure of both these things. So when I asked what sort of magic I could use, it left me in a daze.
魔法を知り、語るに至ってようやく見習いよ。そしてそれを魔法という形で実践できてこそ魔女というものではないか。
マリアはまだ魔女じゃないの？
よく学んでいる。そして類いまれな才能も感じる。そなたはやがて わらわなど足元にも及ばぬ偉大な魔女、あるいはそなたが言うように造物主の座にさえ上り詰めるだろう。しかしまだ幼く若いそなたはそう見習いだ。魔女の見習いというところよ。
じゃあベアとは魔法を使うことができるの？
無論であるとも。魔法を使えずして魔女を名乗ることなどできぬ。
Is this when she shows the cup trick? I wanna see.
見せて、ベアとの魔法見せて。
It is time. Until this day, Maria had never doubted the magic-themed idea that she was the child of the Holy Ghost. However, no one had ever proven to her that occult phenomena actually existed. Maria could create a universe all by herself. However, she wanted to share it with a second person so that she could believe in it even more strongly.
かつてのわらわならば空に虹をかけ、それを七色のキャンディーに変えて自由にかじらせることもできた。しかし今のわらわは姿を保つことさえ満足にできぬほどに衰えている。
さっき聞いた。あの鎮守の社のせいで力が出せないって。
Oh my god.
力を取り戻すにはかなりの時間をかける。虹をキャンディーにしてやることは今はできぬ。しかしささやかな魔法にてその一端を見せることはできようぞ。
Yes, let's go. It's time.
見たい。ベアとの魔法見たい。
Show.
よかろう。しかしそなたにも協力を求めねばならぬぞ。先ほども言った。いかにそなたが汚れなき魂を持とうとも、人間はもはや汚れ魔法を。
聞いた。半魔法の毒素があるって聞いた。マリアの読んだ本には載ってなかった。だからそれを知ってるベアとはすごい。
Beatrice lifted up an empty teacup, then turned it around in front of Maria to show that there weren't any tricks or strings. Yes, it's time. It is time for the teacup trick. Sorry, teacup magic. My apologies.
どうしてわかるの？ウィルはすごいね。魔女の使う魔法もわかるんだね。
魔女の魔法の基本だからな。
カップは何の仕掛けもない普通のカップだったよ。私は見たかった。本当の魔法を見たかった。
There was a thing Maria desired, to strengthen her belief that there was an occult side to her. She wanted to see the occult outside herself as well. That's why she agreed to help Beatrice with her magic. She didn't want her own toxin to ruin her chance of learning the miracles of magic.
よいぞ。さあ、そのカップを開けてみるがいい。
あ、キャンディーだ。キャンディーだ。
わらわからそなたへの挨拶代わりと新しき魔女との出会いと友情に
No.
それを送ろう。
This is so sweet. Oh, it makes me so mad that Erika tried to tarnish this in episode 6. This was a true miracle of magic. For the first time, I felt shame and embarrassed at my conceit. I should feel that sense of omnipotence disappear. Bleh. The idea that I was the child of the Holy Ghost and the most important and special person in the world. Instead of a child of the Holy Ghost who can't actually do anything, I'd rather be a witch who can use magic. Ushiromiya Maria wants to become a witch. Starting off as a witch apprentice, I was already fascinated by Beato.
マリアも本当の魔女になりたい。ベアトの弟子になりたい。
謙遜を。そなたには十分な才能と日々の精進があるぞ。それにかつての力のあるわらわならともかく、この程度の魔法しか使えぬ衰えたわらわでは弟子を持つことなどできぬわ。
マリアは魔女の弟子にはなれない？
Yes, you can.
わらわの弟子にはできぬ。しかし友人にはできる。
ああ。
本当？わらわとそなたはこれより友人だ。
Yes, best friends. Let's go.
深き魔女の世界を語り合おうではないか。
ベアト、ありがとう。このベアトのキャンディー食べてもいい？
Yes, eat it.
いいや、 それは土産にせよ。食べずにそなたの可愛らしいカバンに収めよ。
お家で食べる。
マリア、そのキャンディーは魔法で生み出されたものだ。
Don't eat it.
もろい。そなたがわらわの存在をその毒素で否定したなら溶け。
So you can't eat it.
やだ。ベアトからもらった大切な魔法消えるの嫌だ。
ならばわらわという魔女に出会ったことを決して忘れてはならぬぞ。そなたがわらわとのささやかな約束を守る限り、そなたがまたこの島へ来るときは再びわらわがそなたを迎えようぞ。
守る。約束って何？
まずはそうだな。家へ帰ったら手を洗う、うがいをする。めんどくさがってはならぬぞ。魔女見習いの立派な修行の
Oh
一つ
my
だ。
god. Oh wow. Basically, wash your hands and stay clean.
守る。毎日お家に帰ってきたら手を洗う、うがいをする。そうしたらまた会ってくれる？
約束しようぞ。そなたがわらわとの約束を、そなたの体は清められ、わらわもさらに魔力を取り戻す。
That's an interesting way to see it.
次に来るときはより素晴らしい魔法を見せようぞ。
約束守る。絶対。マリアはなる。ベアとの友達になって魔女見習いになる。
良き心がけであるぞ。後ろ宮マリアよ、そなたが早く一人前の魔女になってわらわの良き友人に成長してくれることを心より願っている。
Oh man, that's so sweet.
これが私の初めてのベアトリーチェとの出会いだったと思う。
そのもらった飴は家に帰ってもちゃんとあったか？
うん。でもその存在を少しだけ疑ったから飴は溶けかかっていた。
Oh no, it was because it was warm.
彼女を疑いかけたことを後悔したよ。もしもっと疑っていたら飴は消えてなくなっていたに違いない。そしたら私は目の当たりにした魔法の奇跡の証拠を失うところだった。
飴が溶けていたのか？
飴というよりはキャラメルだったと思う。溶けかかってぐにゃぐにゃだった。
Understandable, yeah, so
それは
heat.
何月頃の話だ？
詳しく覚えてない。
Summer.
でもミルクティーがアイスだったことは覚えてる。
Yep, then it was
それ
summer.
は何？
何でもない。ベアトリーチェに出会ったことはローザには話したのか？
うん。その日のお夕飯の時にみんなに話した。クラウスおじさんに笑われた。
He sucks.
そしたら隣の席のママにその話は終わりにしなさいって怒られた。
隣の席？序列上お前の席はローザと隣り合わないはずだ。
親族会議じゃないもん。ママとマリアだけが訪ねた時の話。
Okay.
だからクラウスおじさん一家全員とママとマリアしかいない。席は詰めるから親族会議の時とはお席がちょっと違うの。
I see. So the rank is irrelevant in just visits like this.
うん。お前の隣の席にローザだったんだな。
うん。それが何？
なんでもない。ベアトリーチェとロッケン島以外で会ったことは？
ないよ。だってベアとは体が希薄で自由には動けないんだもの。マリアの体に乗り移ってもいいよって言ったけど、島からは離れられないからできないって言ってた。
その後はロッケン島へ行くたびに会っていたということか？
Yes.
うん。
That's so sweet.
私たちは大の仲良しになった。
Oh my god. I could just read a whole episode of just them
ベ
bonding.
アトと話せば話すほどに彼女は本当にすごい魔女だと思い知ったよ。彼女は会うたびにいつも素敵な魔法を見せてくれた。そして私とは異なる魔法体系を聞かせてくれて、 二人で魔法の深淵を語り合ったよ。私は早く彼女の高みに登りたいと思った。ベアトのような魔女の域に達したいと願った。
ベアトリーチェを母親に紹介したことは？
ないよ。ママは毒素が強すぎるからまだ会えないって言ってた。大人はほとんどダメだって。
Well, because they have no childlike wonder.
みんな汚れてるから。
お前以外にベアトリーチェの姿を見ることができた者はいるのか？
最初は無理だった。魔力が弱いからね。毒素に少しでも近づくと体が壊れてしまうって。でも次第に魔力を蓄えてマリア以外の毒素の少ない人の前にも現れられるようになったよ。
Such as?
それは誰だ？
あんまり多くない。
Tell me.
使用人の一部の人だけだった。
Oh! They were in! They were in on it.
今日いる
Kumasawa?
全員。
All of them. So, Kumasawa, Shannon, Kanon. Well, we do have the suspicion that Shannon and Kanon might be the same person after the whole thing that we had in the previous episode where Shannon was like, nope, Kanon cannot come at the same time as me, basically. So my suspicion is Shannon and Kanon are the same person. I mean, episode 6 kind of confirmed that with the way that they were like, yeah, one of us has to die so that we can stay with a person because we're not complete without the other. So yeah, I'm going to assume those are two personalities in one person, or like just a metaphor to two states of mind, I guess. Same person is what I'm trying to say. So Kumasawa, Shannon / Kanon, Genji is here. Is Nanjo here? Does Nanjo count as a servant? No, not really, right? Of course not Goda. He's not allowed.
Shannon, Kanon, Kumasawa no 4人ということか。
Yeah, Kumasawa's Virgilia, so I mean, she is meant to be like the stand-in for Virgilia, and Genji is meant to be the stand-in for Ronove. He knew? Is he Gap? Is Dr. Nanjo Gap? Apparently, they would sometimes come to visit Maria and Beatrice's witch tea parties. Of course, they had only come by for minor things like bringing some more tea. However, they were certainly aware of Beatrice and even talked with her.
使用人たちはベアトリーチェとはどう接していた？存在しないはずの客人だ。驚いたりはしないのか？
しないよ。だってベアトリーチェはお屋敷のもう一人の主だもの。
She said the servants treated Beatrice as an honored guest, and sometimes they were permitted to witness new miracles of magic along with Maria.
つまり1986年の六軒島で The
question is, were Shannon / Kanon able to meet Beatrice? Like, were they separate people? Or is it going to be like another one of those, yeah, Shannon and Kanon never appear when Beato is around?
ベアトもそれ以外の人の前に現れるにはもっともっと魔力を蓄える必要があると言ってた。
つまりそれ以外の人間の前にもやがては姿を現すつもりだったわけか。
すべての人間たちに自分を認めさせる日こそが自分の復活の日だって言ってた。
Oh, the day she dies. You're using your detective brain. Keep up the theory crafting. I'm doing my best. I've been on, like, since episode 4, I have been suspecting that Shannon and Beatrice were connected in some way or another, because in episode 3, the battler just says so. He said he was in love with Shannon before, and I'm like, there's no way that Ryukishi dropped that without reason. There is no way. Maria, the servants, and Nanjo had acknowledged her. She had probably appeared before new humans one by one, starting with those whose anti-magic toxin was weakest. Beatrice's game was to increase the number of humans who could recognize her, until she could make everyone on the island acknowledge her. Of that, there can be no doubt. In that case, the last person Beatrice needed to appear in front of would be Battler, the one said to have the strongest anti-magical power. Does this mean Beatrice thought Battler would be the hardest to convince? It seems true that Battler was one of Beatrice's goals. However, if we go with that chessboard thinking Battler loves so much, Beatrice is trying to make people acknowledge her existence. Therefore, you might say that she's a character who can't exist unless people acknowledge her. Battler reached this idea himself as soon as the first game. Yes, there's something different about Beatrice of the Beatrice of 1986. She's different from the Italian Beatrice or the Ecuadorian Beatrice, both of whom certainly did exist. The Beatrice of 1986, the one we're so familiar with in a mysterious way, yet who has no existence. What does it mean to kill this Beatrice who has no existence? The minimum number of people required to create a universe is 2. However, Maria said that even a single person could give birth to a universe. And yet Maria desired a second person to nurture the world she had given birth to alone. Because if it was born and not nurtured, it would die and disappear? Let's replace the world universe with Beatrice. The minimum number of people required to create Beatrice is 2. However, even a single person could give birth to her. And yet that single person desired a second person. A second person to acknowledge the Beatrice created by the first person. The meeting with a second person is the scene Maria has just described. The single person who created Beatrice looked for a second person to acknowledge Beatrice, and selected Maria. We don't need Furudo Erika's heartless reasoning to know that the teacup magic was a sleight of hand. Maria, believing in the story about the magic toxin, would close her eyes whenever magic happened. Any sleight of hand would be possible while she had her eye closed. The caramel Maria had been given as proof of her meeting with a witch had melted a little because Maria had doubted. In a season where one was likely to put ice in their tea, it was only natural for a caramel left in a bag to melt. Ushiromi Maria, the girl who's too trusting and will accept the story easily. Beatrice appeared first in front of this girl who had, in the language of witches, very little of the anti-magic toxin. The creation of Beatrice can be thought of as an egg being laid. When a single person creates her, it's a little more than a daydream. She's still inside the egg. If and only if a second person acknowledges her, the shell will crack and she'll appear. She'll only appear if a second person comes to warm the egg. When Maria acknowledged Beatrice, she finally hatched and the chick was born. In that case, Maria Sorcier, which nurtured Beatrice and her magical companion, was like a nest. This is Beatrice, a woman with a dignified presence who calls herself the Witch of Rokkenjima and who claims to have lived 1,000 years. That sounds like less like the chick Beato who appeared in the previous game and more like Beato the Elder. So, did the meeting Maria has just recounted mark the birth of Beato the Elder? The egg itself has already been created by the first person. Between then and the meeting with Maria, it matured immensely inside its shell into a character with the dignified presence of 1,000 years. Then, when Maria acknowledged it, it hatched. And the Witch of Rokkenjima finally gained form. Perhaps that moment marks the birth of Beatrice of 1986. The younger chick Beata was born out of love for Battler. Since that birth hasn't yet occurred at this point in time, the birth of Beato the Elder and the existence of Beatrice at this moment must have nothing to do with Battler. Are you enjoying this reasoning, Bernkastel? If you are, let's at least have some applause from the spectators. Oh my god! Great, thanks a bunch! The fucking audio clip from the crowd clapping.
Maria はベアトに魔法で叶えてほしい願いがだからベアトが復活するのに協力してるの。
願いとは何だ？
いっぱいある。内緒。
It's a secret.
黒き魔女からママを守ってほしいか。
どうしてウィルは何でもわかるの？すごいよ。
魔女に願わねば取り戻せない世界だとお前はもう思っているのか。
ママは大好き、優しい、いつまでも一緒にいたい、永遠に。
Oh no, this is sad. Sedge.
今度マリアージュ・ソルシエールについて聞きたい。どうした？
It's forbidden, huh?
やだ。
何？
私、喉が渇いちゃったから、ジュース飲んでくる。
Is this maybe, is she either resistance because Ange is like, because this is after Ange laughed about Maria Sorcier?
またね。
And this is like after the point Maria was like, the Maria Sorcier is now only me and Beato? Is this it? Maria became suddenly formal, bowed her head, and left without waiting for a reply. It was a very un-Maria-like thing to do. I see. So the game master has moved the piece. Apparently she's telling me to ask about something different. At some point, Leon had started chatting with the other family members. Jessica seemed to be getting irritated at having her butt pinched so much, and George was trying to calm her down. Jessica and George. Guess I'll hear their stories next. Compared to Maria, the anti-magic toxin is very strong in these two. At least at the beginning of the other games, they didn't acknowledge Beatrice. Maria showed me the point of view of one who believes. Now to hear from those who don't. Perfect timing, because I think I'm going to wrap up for today. It's the perfect hour to do so. Okay, then let's save up. Save. All right, there we go. And let's go back to the title. I think we've read a good portion of Umineko today, so let me go over to the chat. Alrighty. Yeah, I think this was perfectly like cut. We finished reading Kinzo's flashback. We have read the flashback with Maria meeting Beato, and I do wonder where things will go from here. Some of my suspicions are getting confirmed. I mean, let's see. I'm still very curious about the birth of the servants. Like, we know that Kumasawa is meant to represent Virgilia and Genji is meant to represent Renova. Oh my god. Does he suddenly become sassy when he plays Renova? Like, you know how flat Genji is. He's like completely flat-faced. He's like, not this expression. He's like, hello. So I wonder if he suddenly changes his tune and is like, okay, I'll start playing a little bit smooth. In any case, I think, okay, so I don't have a schedule for the next week's planned yet, but I think I'm gonna plan a little goody two shoes next week. My re-debut, as I had mentioned, might happen sometime at the end of November. Or at the beginning of December, because I have finished a lot of the artworks that I needed to finish. I just need to finish a few videos and like two more screens, and then I am done with all the assets that I need. I might commission a piece of music for the re-debut, let's see, or I might buy one. But yeah, no concrete date set. I'm trying really hard to get everything done by this year, because I have finished my 2 new models like months ago, and I really wanna start using them. I'm desperate. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. So for next week, we're gonna do Little Goody Two Shoes, and for Umineko, maybe in 2 weeks in time. Yeah, I don't really have any fighting game events planned, so I think it's okay if I do like Umineko in the next 2 weeks. But if I don't do it, then I'll probably do like an open... if I don't do it in 2 weeks, then I'll probably do it in 3, because it's been a while since I've done an open Robbie Dragon Ball stream, or an open Robbie fighting game, or Tetris stream in general. So it might be possible that I'll do one of those in 2 weeks in time, but I'll see exactly. I still want to get some stuff sorted. Like I said, I'm on a merch grind, and I also want to produce some Umineko stickers for DreamHack. I won't have time to produce charms anymore. I already sent all the charms that I needed to production, and I am hoping they come on time. But since I haven't started drawing any Umineko merch yet, I can already say for DreamHack there won't be Umineko charms, but there will be some stickers and prints. I'll try to get Umineko charms like sometime at the beginning of next year, but we'll see. Okay, so before we go, I'm gonna be moving. I'm gonna be going offline right away because instead of raiding, because like I'm going to bed right away, and I kind of dislike raiding people and then immediately leaving the stream. I feel kind of like a butt for doing so. So I'll be moving to bed for now. Thank you guys for coming then, and I hope you all had a good time. And I'll be seeing you guys next Tuesday with some art, and next Thursday we'll be doing some little goody two-shoes. Have a good night, and thank you for coming to today's reading. Bye bye!